Righto, so my guest today is Miles Muecke. So we met a couple of weeks ago, but I'd actually been following you for a while through Janae Harding.
Yep.
You sponsor her through Combat, which is your protein, which I'm pretty sure is a shaker over there.
Yep.
And yeah, I had some of that the other night. I don't have any protein at all.
Honest feedback.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
I just don't have anything to compare it to because I don't have any supplements. I eat terrible. So the dudes at the gym are always giving me a hard time about that.
Oh, it's good for you then.
But yeah, so I wanted to get you on the show. I'll be honest, right? So I saw your Instagram and I'm like, oh, here's another hustle porn dude.
Yep. Okay.
And then I was still following you because I was like, man, he seems like really genuine in the stuff that he says. And then I went to the seminar that you did with Skinner, you put on at Apex.
Yep.
And then you've got a really positive energy and like such a good vibe. And I was like, cool, this isn't hustle porn. Like this is what you are like. And I could tell that very quickly. So I think that's like a testament to your personality that can sort of shine through instantly. And after that I was like, I'm just gonna get on the podcast because I'm pretty sure we'll have a good chat.
Man, I loved how honest you were just then. It was actually a question that I was going to pose to you. I wanted to know what you thought I was like, you know, obviously before this podcast. I wanted you, because I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't really put myself out there. You know, I'm always behind the scenes. I'm always behind the camera. I'm always behind an athlete if it's at the gym. And, you know, I haven't really put myself out there. I try to post every now and then on you know, Instagram or something like that and get a message across. But yeah, interesting. Hustle porn.
Well, because like, you know, I'm actually just going to turn your mic up a bit. Which one? Yeah, give you a bit more volume. Sorry, mate. Yeah, like the whole Gary Vee thing.
Yep.
And it's like, I mean, how many people do you know that are like motivated to read motivational books?
Yep.
Like they're motivated to get motivated.
Yep.
Or they're like Fitspo, or it's so much. And like Instagram is like such a place where it's like it just exists. Like it's its own little universe.
Yep.
Where nothing really happens outside of that.
Yep.
You know, and it's so easy to, like, you've got the hype group, you've got Apex, and that's the thing where I was like, look, if he's pulling all this off, then at a point, like, you can't fake all that shit.
100%.
Like, you can't fake owning a gym. You can't fake having this protein that's like, you've got your own shake. Like, dude, I've got fucking 50 t-shirts that I order at a time, and like, that's a nightmare.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, if you've got someone that's like doing all this different stuff
Yep.
and pulling it off, then it's like, okay, there's probably something more to this. But God, I'm so jaded by people that it's just like one idea. Like I would always say to people, like, an entrepreneur these days is just, you're unemployed with an idea.
100%.
And that frustrates me.
Yeah, I'm still sort of unsure about the whole term of you know, entrepreneurship and what constitutes an entrepreneur. Like, you know, I was thinking about it the other day, when you get on a plane and you go overseas and you're filling out the, you know, your information. You're like, what's your job title? And I'm kind of just like, for me, I'm like, well, I don't really know. I don't really know what to write anymore. But I just kind of write business owner. But you know, it kind of comes to the front of the mind. You're like, should I write like entrepreneur or something like that? But it's just got such like a negative connotation to it. But and I think everyone has their own sort of like definition of what entrepreneurship is. Yeah. But yeah, man, I guess I consider myself an entrepreneur. Yeah. But I'm sort of like maturing from that mindset, and I want to probably more sort of like push towards being known as a businessman.
Dude. That's, you know, like, that is exactly what, like, I look at people, like, I know some super, super wealthy people through like really big businesses, like huge crane businesses, like temporary fencing, like the guy that invented that. So it's like, they're not calling themselves entrepreneurs. They're not calling themselves anything. They're too fucking busy doing shit.
100%.
You know? To like call it a thing. And so, yeah, it's just like, I don't know. It just seems so like rife at the moment of people that are just like these constant messages. And like, I follow Gary Vee on Instagram, and it's funny, Michael, do you know Michael Crawley from Valley Island?
Yeah, man, 100%.
So Crawley posted a thing today on his Facebook saying like, I'm so sick of Gary Vee, blah blah. And like, I kind of have that feeling too. I'm not like sick of him, but I'm just, I'm almost sick of the people that ask him the question. It's like, dude, there's enough out there to where it's like, it's fucking simple. One foot in front of the other, and you just keep grinding. And it's like, you know, people don't get that when you are successful in business or whatever, it's like you just have done the shit that you didn't want to do over and over, and you never let it beat you. And it's like the process is the thing that you need to enjoy. If you're chasing the little pot of gold at the end, there is no pot of gold at the end.
100%.
And it's like the same with this whole thing is like, you know, we built this little room, and then this was this thing, and then we're on to the next studio. So it's like for 5 months of this year, like all I've done is just like grind over stuff. And it's like, if you don't enjoy that, then you're fucked.
100%. And I'm really glad that you kind of like phrased, you know, what you said about Gary Vee in a certain way, rather than saying, oh, I hate Gary Vee and you know what he's trying to portray, because what he's trying to portray is actually really good if you listen to his message. And in heaps of ways I can relate to him. I grew up in an immigrant family. My grandparents came over to Australia. My mum came over to Australia, didn't know English, learnt English for the first time. They were just absolute hustlers. And so I learnt from that sort of family upbringing as well, and I can kind of relate to a lot of shit that he says. But I think you're right in the fact of saying like you more hate sort of like the reaction that a lot of people have to his content, and thinking that it's easier than it is to achieve some sort of success. You know, man, amazing props to you know, this podcast and building another studio. Hectic work, man. Like this is the first time I've ever been on a podcast as a guest. So, dude, I'm absolutely humbled first and foremost. And to think that fucking Travis Pastrana and, you know, Crawley and all these dudes were on it before me is just hectic. So I'm stoked, man, obviously. But to then, you know, create this, and we've got our own podcast, so part of our marketing agency.
Shout it out.
Yeah, man. So the Hypecast. So me and my business partner Sel, we have a marketing agency called Hype Group, and we had a space available in the agency, in the office, and we were just like, hey, we love podcasts. We love listening to, you know, the Joe Rogans. I love listening to the Tom Bilyeu's and you know, all those sorts of guys. And we're just like, we should make a podcast room. So we created it, and you know, 1 hour a week we sort of sit in there with a cool guest and have a chat to them. We're not as consistent as I'd like us to be, but
it's hard.
Oh man, and this is why I'm having more and more respect for what you're creating. Yet people out there might see this and they'll watch your Instagram, they'll listen to this podcast and they'll think, I'm going to start a podcast, and it's going to be number one, and they don't realize, they haven't reverse engineered, you know, what goes into it. I think that's the problem, man. People see the end result. They want to get there. They think that because they can see other people that are at that stage, that they can get there with a click of the fingers, and they're missing so much, man. I'm a big believer in reverse engineering stuff. That's what I've done for everything.
And so how would you apply that then to like, so give us an example of reverse engineering some of the stuff that you've done then.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Let me have a think. Well, I guess sort of, getting into combat nutrition. Let's reverse engineer that, and I'll tell you sort of how long of a process it is to have created that. So Combat Nutrition is a sports nutrition brand that's dedicated just for combat athletes. We have, you know, protein. Next week we're about to bring out some intra-workout. We've got protein bars, all sorts of things. And it all started with first creating... What's the website? It's
CMBT?
Yep, cmbt.com.au.
Yes, sweet.
And it all started with first creating a machine that allowed me to make a living that also was a perfect incubator to start a business like Combat. So, and that's what's allowed me to start other things. So, you know, when you said before, it's just like, where do you find the time to create all of these things? Well, I could see that a marketing agency was the engine for business in general, and how powerful it was, especially in this sort of new digital age, so to speak. So I was heavily involved in digital to a certain degree. I was, you know, doing a lot of videography, photography, and things like that. I was definitely in an entrepreneur phase in my life where I was just starting up a lot of things, but they didn't equate to anything necessarily. And so I created an agency called Athletic Agencies, and it was a digital marketing agency, predominantly content creation at the time. I later sort of invested 24/7 into Facebook advertising, and so paid advertising was born. And I realized that I needed to have all of these sorts of functions of this agency, so graphic design, website development, paid advertising, content creation. And once I had that machine that was, allowing me to make a living, I knew that I would be able to create now a business incubator, and a little machine that could sort of, offshoot other businesses, so to speak, vertically. So Combat is our brand from Hype. And man, it's been a really long process, but it's been the way that I've understood how to do it. So it all comes with experience as well. You don't know what you don't know. I'm absolutely obsessed with sort of, I think it's like the pyramid of competence. And how you talk about sort of at the bottom level, it's just like you're unconsciously incompetent. You don't know what you don't know. So it's just like, how are you supposed to sort of know where you're going or how to get there if you don't know what you don't know? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? As simple as that sounds. But as soon as you become aware of what you don't know, then you're able to start filling in the gaps. And that's what reverse engineering is.
And that's only like through learned experience.
Correct.
That you can figure it out. And that's like, so perfect example is my girlfriend is a makeup artist.
Yep.
So she wants to be full-time at that.
Yep.
And then it's hard because she's in a relationship with a person that is full-time, that just sits down, talks for 3 hours. Like this is just sits, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And then, so like she does see the end result.
Yep.
So it's like, she can see that.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, I want that.
Yep.
And I'm like, all right, so this podcast is a culmination of, this started when I was 18.
Yep.
I'm now 31. So it's like all of that was learning that you don't know what you don't know. 100%. Like I just fucked up so much stuff to get to like this point.
Yep.
And you just learn and you learn. And it's like, I didn't even know that this was a thing I wanted to do.
Yep.
But it's like when I started doing it, I'm like, oh man, all this stuff that I've done has like really led to this.
Yep.
And it is like this long game that you have to play.
And what's funny is that you've built this organically. And to be honest, I built Athletic Agencies, which is now Hype Group, organically. I didn't necessarily have the bigger vision of what I wanted it to be. I do now. And the thing is that now that I've gone through that process, if I was someone who wrote a book about the process of building an agency, or I have a podcast, or I talked on YouTube about it, a lot of people can learn from our mistakes and our organic growth, and they can quarter the journey that it takes to get to where we are now. The problem is people don't want to find the answers. And man, a good example, when I was in law school, I was a terrible student. And when I'd do a test, I'd be like, I don't know the answers. Little did I even sort of, try to think that all the answers are in the textbook.
Yeah.
Literally, that's the sort of mentality that you need to kind of breed. All the answers are there.
But that's the trench work.
That's the trench work.
You don't really want to
do.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's just like, the same thing is out there. So I want to start a business. I don't know what to do. It's just like, all of the information is out there. And if you can become, good at problem solving, you can solve any problem and you can achieve anything you want to achieve. Yeah. If you want to run 4 businesses, 5 businesses, if you want to start one successful business, you can do it. It's just about finding the information. And for a lot of people, they can't even get to that step.
Yeah.
So it's about building, you have something and I have something that has been developed over time, and that's, a personality trait, that's, habits and things like that, which allows us to do what we do, and people need to develop those. So it's all good to have sort of the belief to see what you need at the end, but are you the person right now at this particular time that is the right person to be the person that runs that business? Or, you might need to work up to that. Yeah. So, man, there's so much to it, there's so much to it.
Yeah. And it's cool. That, like I said, when I went to Apex to the school, and I just saw, like, you could just see the effort. Like, you painted all of the air cons, you painted the ducting, you know what I mean? Like, you can really see, and I could really appreciate the work that went into it, and the passion. Like, it become obvious. And then it's funny too, like before I went to the school, like the seminar, I actually drove past to like the aircon place to like pick up all our ducting, and I saw
classic.
Hype Group.
Yep.
Because it's like right near where they're. So I was like, everything's lining up, man. I really need to get him on the show.
Classic.
But
man, I'm big on creating a life for myself. So you know, as you sort of said, like, man, my house is 2 minutes from my office, and my office is 2 minutes from the gym, and the gym is 2 minutes from my house.
That's it, dude. I'm running the exact same program here.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to be here. It's like, I think it's 4 minutes to drive to the new studio.
Yep.
It's like 4 minutes to drive to the beach, and then the gym's down there. I was like, I don't want anything else now.
Yep.
You know, like I want to just keep on keeping on.
Yeah, you've unlocked it, man. You've unlocked the secret. It's like, you know how many people are trapped in this mindset there where they're just like, I have to commute to Brisbane to remain in this job, to provide for my family, to do this and that. You don't need to do that. You just are stuck in that mindset, and you just need to, you know, do some problem solving, do some more deeper thinking, and try and work your way out of it and start creating a life that you can live for yourself.
Oh, for sure. And like the thing I've said it on this podcast before is like, if you want to really figure it out, like Facebook ads, just do that.
Yep.
And it's like, you know, that's where Gary Vee has those kind of messages, but it's so sourced up.
Yep.
And it's just like, da, 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 and you're like, hey, you know, but it's like, you can give people the tools too.
Yep.
You know, like even Mick, like you got like a screen door company that he does in summer. And I'm like, I fucking had no idea that you did that.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can, the whole like side hustle thing, which he talks about a lot, is like, it's super valid. Like, have a side hustle. And for Ricky right now, the makeup is her side hustle. I'm like, you hustle hard enough on that over a long enough period of time, and you can turn it from that to whatever you want.
100%.
And it's like, but it just takes like commitment, and you still have to have a full-time job. You're gonna get fucked around with clients. You're gonna miss certain opportunities because of work. Like, that's cool. I've had that shit happen over and over, where I've missed something that I was like, oh, this would be the next bar. And you know, you get so like focused on this thing happening. And it's like, I would say that would be my biggest change mindset wise with like doing this podcast when I was like, so I lived in the States for 7 years or whatever, doing the film stuff. And man, I was so obsessed with it that I'd almost like cock block myself at times, because I would be so rattled if I missed an opportunity, or if I'd pushed too hard to get something before it was ready, and you end up fucking yourself over, like standing on your own feet in a sense. And with this, there's so like, I've had so much more patience, and it's like there's that, you know, the Art of Not Giving a Fuck book. I haven't read it, but the title, in a sense, like I can see the merit in it, because you sort of, it's the same with fucking chicks or whatever. It's like, you really genuinely have to not care about the outcome. It has to be que sera, sera. It'll be what it'll be. Do the right things to get to that. But you cannot you can't force something, you know, that is out of your control. And I think when you accept that, it becomes easier to like, things start to happen a bit more. Because you're playing that patience, you're playing the long game, you're letting things work out. And as long as you just keep one foot in front of the other, just keep charging along, like, a lot of times that stuff will work out, as opposed to just like board a gate, trying to bash walls down. There's some stuff you just can't, for sure, you know, you can't force.
Man, you touched on a few really important points there in sort of my sort of, you know, thought process and way of thinking. And you talked about patience. You talked about sort of like, you know, the art of not giving a fuck, or just accepting things and not sort of getting too emotionally connected to things you can't control. I think that is one of the biggest lessons that we as humans should be learning, is to, you know, we get so emotionally connected to things that we can't control. And so we're almost self-sabotaging ourselves. We know that we can't control something. The result is that something happens that negatively affects us, and we go into an emotional sort of downturn as a result of that. We need to protect our, you know, our mindset, we need to protect our emotions from, and our energy from, you know, going down that downturn, because it's not helping us. And I think learning how to control your emotional attachment to things is a very powerful tool, but I think that comes with self-awareness, growth, all of these things, and also it's a skill. So it's building building the habits and the skills. So it's like, and I can touch on that a bit more, but you talked about patience as well. I don't want that to sort of disappear, because I think that's the, you know, guys like Gary Vee, you know, all of these, you know, digital titans are talking about patience and how important it is. One hand, Gary Vee will say patience is key. Tom Billy will say fuck patience on his t-shirt.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, people look at these things too literal.
Yeah.
It's both. It's everything. It depends where you're at. It's like, you know, in the macro, patience is extremely important to achieving great success. In the micro, no, man, you need to get shit done.
Yeah.
And, you know, success is a result of, you know, actions that are compounded over time, and all of those little successes that, you know, eventually, whenever that time may be in the future, will sort of create that success.
Well, I think there's a massive, like, that was cool what you said about like macro and micro.
Yeah.
I'd say that one is patience and one's procrastination.
Interesting.
You know, because like over the, you know, the larger scale, then you do want to be patient.
Yes.
But on the daily small task, don't be patient and wait to, like, the big thing for me, like, I'm retarded when it comes to like going to the post office, fucking opening letters. Like, I'm the worst.
Yep.
And then when we launched like the Gypsy Gang merch, I was like, I'm not fucking around with this merch.
Yep.
Like, that became this thing. And this morning I had to go pick up a light from the new studio, and then I looked and I was like, fuck, I'll do the merch later, because we had a few orders.
Yep.
And then I was like, nah, that's procrastination.
Yep.
Like, I can do it. I've got time to do it now. Then I will do it now.
Yep.
So I think that's in my head been like a difference between, so, you know, you do have to be patient on like the long game, and then there is that stuff what it's like you said, the micro is like, you don't be patient, get shit done, do what you got to do. And a lot of like
avoid procrastination.
Because I think that, you know, there's a difference between patience and procrastination.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, but, and one thing too that I can't remember like where I read it or heard it, but there was this whole idea of extraordinary people aren't just like doing these extraordinary things.
Yep.
It's like, if you look at like an Olympic swimmer, or we're like massive moto dudes here.
Yep.
So it's like Ken Roxon or Travis Pastrana
Yep.
or whatever. It's like, yeah, there's this level of talent, there's this level of ability that they've got. But it's like, that's not, you just don't wake up great. No one wakes up great.
Yep.
Like, you'd see it with jiu-jitsu.
100%.
Like, there's people that are so talented,
Yep.
but they're not Craig Jones.
Yep.
That the reason why Craig Jones is so fucking good, and we all look at him and like, whoa, what the fuck?
Yep.
Is because of like the stuff that he does on the small level.
Yep.
It's just, he trains 3 times a day,
and in his mind,
he does the work.
Yep.
And then he always watches film. He like Lachlan Giles, perfect example. That guy's brain is never off jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
So it's like, okay, why is he extraordinary? He isn't this insanely talented freak of nature dude that's like this physical prodigy. He is the definition of just like complete obsession.
Yep.
And every second of his time is spent thinking about it.
Yep.
And it's like, I think that that's the one thing that people need to realize a little bit more, is like, what makes you extraordinary isn't this extraordinary trait.
Mm-hmm.
It's that you can do the most unextraordinary tasks every single day.
Yep.
For years and years. Like, you know, Ryan Gambin come on the podcast.
Yeah, man.
Olympic swimmer.
Yep.
Just 6Ks a day for his whole life.
That's amazing. Ryan's a beast, man.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
Can you imagine doing 6? Like, I wouldn't want to do 6Ks a day. Turns out I'm not an Olympic swimmer.
Yeah.
For that reason.
For sure.
You know? So it's like, it's just this underrated thing, or I think it maybe discourages people.
Yep.
Because they're like, I'm just an ordinary person.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, even with me, like when you're like, oh, I'm honored to be on here, and this, I'm like, dude, I'm honored to have you. Like,
thanks,
I don't
man.
see myself to be any different. I'm just as normal as it can be. And like, even me and Mick were talking about this the other day. Like, you'll see people that'll come up to you and like they recognize you.
Yep.
And I'm like, fucking hell, that's weird, man.
I knew
I'm
you
like,
before we met.
Yeah, like I'm literally me. Like, I'd feel like I don't deserve any of that, but it's like someone else's perspective might be like, he's got this crazy thing or whatever that like lets you do. It's like, no, it's nothing. There's nothing secret.
Yeah.
There's nothing special. I just press record, keep doing it.
Yeah.
Keep doing it. Take the good with the bad. Try and take the criticism.
Yeah.
So it's like there's nothing extraordinary. Not nothing, but it's not always extraordinary things about extraordinary people.
Yeah. They're
actually just extremely good at doing very basic things over and over.
Yeah, man, 100%. I completely agree, man. They make themselves extraordinary people. I mean, any success, and we were talking about it before, it's just like, I think a lot about the mind. I'm a pretty deep dude, to be honest, man. Sometimes super deep, it's a bit scary, but I think about myself. I self-reflect a lot. I think about my decisions, the way my mind thinks about particular decisions and situations a lot. And so it's made me sort of like look even deeper into sort of like neuroplasticity and, being able to kind of manipulate or change or redirect, the wires in your brain to think different ways and grow. And man, that's what growth is. That's what, sort of like personal growth's all about. It's all neuroplasticity, So it's like, if we want to get good at something, it's just sort of like, even with this podcast, the way I work, the hustle porn. How do you get the hustle? Well, over a series of actions will create sort of, habits, and those series of habits will sort of burn into your identity as like a personality trait. So I
saw you posted something about that. I
talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
So I try and sort of like break things down a little bit, and that's kind of goes back to that reverse engineering thing. I'm kind of like working out, why you are the way you are. I think a lot, why am I the way I am?
Yeah.
And so it's, but there's a hack. And the hack is that if you find something that you just really enjoy and you're just super passionate about it, performing those actions at the start that lead to the habits, that lead to it burning into your identity makes it easier. You know what I mean? Like nothing's ever going to be easy, but you're just going to get there faster because you're going to put in the work. When it came to like building the agency, came from a bit of a different circumstance. I was a lawyer at the time. I quit on the spot. I can talk about that story, but I quit on the spot. My partner Holly supported me and my decision, and I was already filming at the time. I was already into the whole digital thing at the time, and I was forced to create the decision to build this marketing agency. But I was so passionate about it, and it was like from literally, we had to move back into my grandparents' place. We just bought a place. We just renovated it. Holly was stoked. We moved back to my grandparents' place. I sold my cars. I was $100,000 in debt because I wanted to look like a flashy lawyer.
Yeah.
And I was, caught up in all that bullshit.
Were you doing it on the Goldie?
Yeah, man. Yeah. And then
fuck the Goldie for that.
Dude, it's terrible.
It's so bad.
Terrible.
Dude, my mate said he lived up here for years, and then he moved back to Cairns, and then now he's in Noosa.
Yep.
And he's like, mate, you know what? How I know Goldie's full of wankers? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, every second car has personalised plates.
Yeah, man, 100%.
I'm like, it's a pretty good indication. Eh?
Absolutely.
It's pointless.
How vain it is crazy.
Yeah.
You'd walk into sort of an event, a corporate event here on the Gold Coast, and you'd have all the local lawyers, accountants, financial advisors, whatever. And the energy in there, man, it just didn't suit me, hey?
Yeah.
And it was quite funny. I tell a lot of stories where I kind of walked in and you were saying I'm super positive and stuff. I am, man. That's my nature. I used to be called Mr. Positive, and they used to pick on me. My mates used to pick on me because they used to go, Mr. Positive. And, walk into an event and I'd be like, hey, what's up? And I'd give someone like a handshake or something like that. And they'd be like, whoa, what is this? Like they're all prim and proper. And I used to break ice so hard, man. Like I used to just, pat people on the back and just, I was always myself. I was so, man, I was playful. I was always so comfortable, and I'd always be a little bit of a rebel to, the corporate sort of, vibe. I didn't suit that job, man.
Did you want to be a lawyer out of like passion for the law, or was it like, this is like a status thing that I want to achieve to say I'm a lawyer, and then get the house, get the girl, get the cat, blah, 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 blah?
Yeah.
Was it more like, probably with being from, like you said, an immigrant family as well, like there's probably a little bit of like success for the family in a way that might come into it?
So, I had a different upbringing, man. I had my grandparents and my mum from Croatia. My mum was severely paranoid schizophrenic.
Your mum was?
My mum was,
really?
yeah. And I grew up in the heart of King's Cross in Macleay Street with my mum. My dad split when I was 2, couldn't handle it. Really interesting story. He was just trying to tell the family and everything that's, my mum was ill, but no one would believe him.
Really?
Yeah, man. And for years and years and years. So I was brought up in that sort of environment. But I had the support network of my grandparents where I'd go there maybe once on the weekend and things like that. They'd pick me up. And it was a place of comfort. By no means were they successful as such. They're comfortable. They've worked really hard for what they've got, and they looked after me. So I was able to see sort of the bottom of the world. Pouring your stale Nutri-Grain with cockroaches into your bowl, and going to your grandparents' place where they're that European culture and they're filling you with food and love and all that sort of stuff. So, and if I didn't have my grandparents, my mum's parents,
yeah, okay,
yeah, man. So. Grew up there and I guess, I wanted to create a life of that was opposite to what I grew up with. I think that's kind of natural. You grow up in a particular circumstance, and if it's not a good one, you kind of, want the opposite. Yeah. So that's, I guess, if I put it simply, that's kind of what happened with me. But man, when I was good with people. I was pretty good at English and writing and things like that. So at school, when you put down for your university entry, what do you want to do? I just said law at Bond Uni.
Yeah.
And don't know why my parents, my parents and my grandparents all sort of like pushed me into that career.
Yeah.
By no means did I want to do it for myself. I got in, and at the time I was professional bodyboarding. So that's how I know crawling and stuff like that. So, yeah, man, I didn't do great at uni by any means. I just passed. I just breezed through. I was either sort of traveling or doing the Aussie tour or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was having a lot of fun. And but I knew that wasn't paying any bills or going to lead to any particular, successful lifestyle. So I decided to make a decision one year where I failed a subject. And I was like, oh, shit, next semester I need to really pull my head in and sort of put the surfing and stuff on the back burner and pushed into the legal career, worked hard, and then I sort of just made the natural progression into a firm. I worked hard. I did 8 months of full-time unpaid work experience. That was something that I did that no one else sort of wanted to do.
Yeah.
So now I've kind of got that mentality where I put the time in to then be rewarded with the job at the end. I worked as a lawyer for 6 years, and the whole time something was missing, man. I was starting jobs and had the gym and little bits and pieces, and one, in my opinion, without saying too much, it's like white collar crime, man. It's just it just didn't vibe with my personality. It hurt my soul, man. It was horrendous.
Dude, as weird as this sounds, me and Ricky been watching Suits. Have you ever watched that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're just fucking binge it. I never watch a show.
Yeah.
The only show I've watched is like Game of Thrones and Breaking Bad. That's it.
Yeah.
So we're watching this show, and it's like, it's not the best show, but I'm into it.
Yeah.
But I've kind of figured out, like, I'm watching it. I had this thing. I was in the shower the other day. I'm like, these motherfuckers can just do what they want as long as they settle out of court.
Yeah.
Like, you sue someone for breaking a law.
Yeah.
And then so this company will sue this company.
Yep.
And that's why it gets bought.
Yep.
And then it goes into the legal system.
Yep.
And then if they settle out of court, which is a deal for I'll figure this out. You owe me this favor after blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
And it's like, and then the crime just goes away.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? And then I'm started reading about some like actual cases and like real litigation. It's like, that's just what they do.
Yeah.
Like, this guy will accuse this dude of a crime, which they're doing.
Yep.
And then they'll settle it out of court, and then the crime goes away.
Yeah.
It's like, who the fuck's paying for the crime?
Yeah.
Like, what's actually going on here?
I don't know how much that, the Suits is a bit fabricated as to what really happens.
It would be different, but like that is sort of how shit goes down.
Yeah, man,
right?
it does, man. It's a pretty twisted system, a lot of the time. It'll never be right. There's no right or wrong to things happening. I mean, but it's hard, man. Like for sure someone didn't do anything, but someone wants to, just make their life miserable so they'll sue them. And then they have to pony up the money to defend, themselves. Otherwise, shit's going to happen to them. And that sucks, man. Yeah. And so it's just like, people are getting fucked over all the time.
You don't get to pick the side you're on.
No, of course not, man.
They just come to you like, hey, this is the case.
And they hate you from the start. They hate you from the start because they're in a terrible situation. They know they need to pay you. They don't want to pay you. And they hate you from the start. So, you can see my nature, man. I was always trying to sort of settle matters quickly because I didn't want people to pay money they didn't have to pay. But you don't get incentivized for that as a staff member. No way, man. They want to milk out matters for as long as possible. So that's how they make money. It's a fucking good business, I'll tell you that. Well, not good business in terms of like morally.
Profitability wise.
Exactly, as a machine. And anyway, man, I had a big case. My partner suffered with a lot of autoimmune diseases. She was really sick at the time, low immune system. And we were kind of at a situation where the doctors were saying, like, if she got sick, she needs to go to hospital immediately because she doesn't have enough red blood cells and combat some, whatever her diseases were at the time. And she contacted me and she was like, I'm fucked, I'm sick, I need to go to the hospital. And I was like, oh shit.
I can't.
And I was just, man, you know what? I was trapped in this mentality where I was like, I can't leave. I've got this court case. I'd ask my boss, I need to go. And he'd be like, if you walk out that door, you're not coming back. And so obviously I arranged for, Holly's mum to go and pick her up and take her to the hospital. But man, my job came in between me and my loved one, and my family who was sick and needed my help. And from that moment, that was a huge turning point in my life. And never in my life had I ever experienced or felt anxiety before.
Yeah.
I started to feel anxiety. I was just like, where's this coming from? What is this feeling? And there was a few matters where, some clients were just getting screwed over. Some, elderly people were, paying for their legal fees with the last, little bit of their superannuation savings and things like that. And I just couldn't see it getting any better. And I'd look down at my hands and I'd just have hives just appearing all over my hand. And then I started getting itchy, and then my head started to get itchy. And then I'd go into the bathroom, I looked in the mirror, and I just had literally reptile skin, man. If I could show you a photo, I took a photo on an old phone. I need to find it again. My whole body was legitimately like the red on these walls. I was like I don't know, man, proper diseased, like just had hives, and I quit on the spot because it affected my family, the job, it affected my body and my mental state. And I was like, fuck this, too much, it's done. And I quit cold turkey, man. I had nothing to go to. And it was the best thing I ever did because I had the acceptance and I could detach myself emotionally by saying, I don't need this car, I don't need this nice house. My grandparents, have said, we'll accept you, just come here, and I was very lucky to have that support system. It was not the life that my partner and I wanted at the time. It's just the way it happened. And I went backwards 10 steps. But it needed to be done, and I am so grateful for doing that. Yeah. And I think a lot of people need to do that. I think a lot of people get themselves into a lot of shit, and they entangle themselves into all sorts of webs. And a lot of that's Instagram, all these sorts of things. They want to be seen a certain way. They want the flashy things, but they get themselves into a lot of trouble, and they don't want to untangle themselves from that web and go backwards to go forwards again. Yeah. I think, man, I see a lot of that. And I think a lot of people need to sort of step back, think if they're going in the right direction or if they're tangling themselves in webs that is just going to get stickier and stickier. And maybe they need to make the decision to make some sacrifices, pull back, and in order to go forward. A perfect example, I went from a good wage, Mercedes, Dodge, brand new house that I just renovated, and immediately to 100 grand in debt that I couldn't pay, to not being able to afford a haircut, that was my thing. You know, when we're busy, doing this podcast is amazing. It gives you that sort of time to, without your phone and stuff. Haircuts were that for me. I was like, man, I just want my haircut. Couldn't get my haircut. So my girlfriend just had to shave my head. Couldn't go out and get a feed, all of these sorts of things. So it's just like all of those luxuries I sacrificed. Gym membership, sacrificed, all of those things. And people just don't want to do that, man. I was lucky that I had, you know, some grandparents that I could live in their place, you know, cook on their stoves and use their gas and rent. And a lot of people don't have that.
Yeah.
I consider myself lucky, man. Yeah, just to have that. So, yeah, man.
Dude,
it's a little bit of my story.
Dude, the whole thing, like, you're so right, man. Like, and I mean, I've said it on here as well. Like, I was in the States at times where, like, my business partner went to Vegas with his wife, and then, like, I was there and I was, like, house sitting. I was at my house and I was looking after their dog, and then my power went out, so I had no fucking power. So then I was going down to I'd go down to the servo and I'd get ice, and I took all the meat out of my fridge and I fucking put all the meat, all the dog food and shit in this esky.
Yep.
And it's like, you know, you just don't go out. I had no TV, nothing.
Yep.
So then it was like my phone run out of data.
Yeah.
So it's like you're not doing anything.
Yep.
You're just sitting there like existing, waiting for like an invoice to get paid so
Yep.
that you can pay. And you know, you're halfway across the world. It's like, but I don't know, man. Like I feel like I wonder if it happened to you, but like I just got comfortable living there.
Yep.
Like I just got comfortable being in that place, and I think so many people are like so worried about what happens if
Yep.
this you know,
Yep.
if I run out of money, and what happens if I do this, and it's like, it's fine, man.
Yep.
You can't get a haircut.
Yep.
You can't watch shit on your phone.
Yep.
You can't, you know, there's shit you can't do, but you're fine.
Yep.
And it's like, once you live in that place, and that's the place you have to live to build like a hype group.
Yep.
Or build a Gypsy Tales. Like,
yep.
You have to live there. And even the times that I've been doing this podcast where I've had zero money.
Yep.
And been late on rent.
Yep.
And it's like, it's just, that's how it goes. And if you keep living in that place, you keep realizing that it's really not that fucking bad.
Dude, 100%.
You know?
I agree with you.
You get over it.
Dude, I agree with you 100%. You know what? My experience with that is, I was a litigation lawyer, and I dealt a lot with sort of bankruptcy and liquidations, things like that. You would be surprised at how many people commit suicide because they are made bankrupt. And, you know, a lot of times there's a backstory. They may have not told their family or their wife or something, that they were in financial hardship, or maybe they, you know, they just had such an emotional attachment to money or a business or something like that.
Well, have you ever heard about the Victoria's Secret, dude?
No.
Can you try and find that? Find out the details of the guy that sold Victoria's Secret. So I'm going to see if I get it right.
Yes.
But basically, so he sold Victoria's Secret for like $5 million or something.
Yep.
And then when he found out, like whoever bought it, then they did the runway show and blah. He ended up jumping off a bridge. That's the story I think I remember. But
it actually rings a bell now. It does ring a bell.
So yeah, Raymond committed suicide by jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge. He was last seen alive walking towards the bridge, and shortly thereafter, body washed up on the shores of Marin County. Yeah, so I wonder. See if you can just find something in there, Mick.
Man,
but, what a crazy story! Like, talk about like an attachment to money, dude. Like, and $5 million, whatever. Hopefully, we find out the thing that it's like. Oh yeah, here it is. Read that out, Mick.
Yeah, on 26th of August 93, Raymond committed suicide by jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge. He was last seen alive walking on the bridge, and shortly after washed up on the Marin County. Investigators concluded that he committed suicide by jumping off the bridge. He and his wife Gay divorced earlier that year. Gay speculated he suffered from depression, possibly due to business failures.
So read the bit about where it says Victoria's Secret. The company earned $500,000 in its first year. Mail order catalogue.
I'll see if I can dig a bit deeper and see if I can find something.
See if you can find the details. But yeah, so
crazy, man.
But like, he sold the company. Like, he was making crazy money and then sold it, and then just because he wasn't a part of what it become, that it just literally killed him. Man. Like, how crazy is that?
What's happening every day, man? And it sort of it was amazing for me to witness, because I just sort of sat back one day in my chair, and I just sort of thought, I cannot believe that these people are committing suicide because of money. My mum commits suicide, so I had like a bit of a personal sort of experience with it, and I was just thinking, these people are so attached to this, you know, these finances or this business, or, you know, it's become such a part of their identity that they need to commit suicide when they become bankrupt. And I just thought, you know what? From that day forward, I was just like, if I have a problem, if it's not going to kill me,
Yeah.
I'm going to be sweet.
Yeah.
And you know what, bro? If all of these businesses fail and, you know, something catastrophic happens and Holly and I are left on, you know, the sidewalk, it's cool, man.
We'll figure it out.
I'm not dead.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be scared of anything unless it's going to kill me.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my mentality. You know, I have a few little things. It's that I don't care about anything unless it's going to, you know, kill me. I don't worry or fuss over anything that I can't control.
Yeah. That's huge.
Man, they're huge.
Yeah.
But, you know, these to us might be simple, but they could be great lessons to a lot of people out there that are suffering with anxieties and all these sorts of things.
The biggest thing too that like I've really been thinking about a lot lately, and like, so I would be like, I'd get like super pissed off at people, or I'd like hold like a lot of like anger towards people that did wrong by this or blah blah blah. And nowadays I just don't care.
Yep.
Because I manage my expectations.
Yep.
I go like for example, it's like not awesome. It's like a weird example.
Yeah.
But so my coach, if you go out with him, he wants to have a big one, and he's just one of the boys, and he's just fucking like, let's have a good night.
Yep.
The other night we went out, we were going to meet him. I knew that that's what they were there to do, and I didn't want to have a big night. I said, I'll come down for one drink, and then they bailed, and then the boys were like, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't want to bail, and I was like, it's all good.
Yep.
I didn't care at all, because my expectation, like I know what they were there to do.
Yep.
My feelings should, you know, like I didn't want to have my feelings protected and like, oh, they didn't want to hang out with me.
Yep.
I was just like, it's all good.
100%.
You know the expectations. And I think like even in like relationships, people get in these new relationships, and they're like, I got a friend now that he's, you know, dating some chick, and he's like, all these questions that he's thrown at me for like a chick that he's just started hanging out with. And I'm like, bro, just level down these expectations.
Yep.
You know, weeks into something, just chill, see how it goes.
Yep.
You know, you've already got an expectation that you can't control.
Yep.
So, you know, it's sort of, I think that goes hand in hand with worry about things you can control.
Yep.
You can't control if someone likes you. That's just as simple as that.
100%.
You know, so it's like if you can't control if they like you, but then you expect them to like you. So you're like double fucking yourself because you're worrying about something you can't control, and then you're expecting something out of a situation.
Dude,
really just got to go with it.
I think we've all gone through that. I think that's human nature.
Over and over.
And it's another hack though. It's another hack, and acceptance is such a huge principle that we need to talk about more. And it doesn't just relate to, like you said, friends. It relates to family, man. Like, because I went through the same thing. I had huge expectations of my dad, or you know, that he was going to be there when I needed for him to be there, even though I knew he wasn't going to be.
Yeah.
And it's just like, so again, you're setting yourself up, you're self-sabotaging yourself. But man, everyone is their own person. Even if you got blood, you know, even family members, everyone's their own individual person, and heaps of people really struggle with that concept and get scared by that concept because they think, oh, I'm on my own. We kind of are on our own. It doesn't mean we have to be. We've obviously got people around us, support systems, family, and things like that. But we are our own person. You just need to accept that people will do what they want to do when it suits them. Yeah. And you can't let it affect you, your emotions. Your emotions are too valuable, man. Your energy's too valuable to just let something silly sort of alter your emotions, or, you know, cause some sort of negative effect or something like that, man. So the other thing, and I guess it's come from like my experience with mum being, you know, a paranoid schizophrenic my whole life, is my understanding of how fragile the human mind is. Yeah. And in one way, it's just the most fragile, you know, malleable thing, but in other ways, it's the most powerful thing. It's so strong, man. So, but it's like, you know how I was talking about sort of like those neural pathways. I love it, man. I love talking about it because I think, you know, we need to understand it more. We actually don't understand it greatly. But, you know, the more we have the negative emotions, then more that we let them affect us. And if we have a negative reaction to situations, we build those neural pathways. And I don't want to build those ones for myself, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like they can stay detached. I'm just building positive ones, you know, because when you think about it, when you think about mental illness or you think of depression and all anxiety and all these sorts of things, they're just neural pathways.
Like trained responses.
Yes,
to
man. They're
situations.
trained responses, exactly correct. And they've happened so many times and you've let them happen so many times.
Default. What's it called? Your DMN, default mode network?
Something like that, man. Yeah.
Because there's some stuff with psilocybin therapy where you get people that microdose mushrooms.
Yes.
Have you ever done mushrooms?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's right. We talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so people that microdose mushrooms is actually it can alter your DMN.
Yes.
So like if you do it consistently, it's like 0.5 gram of mushrooms.
Yep.
So like you're really not going to experience any like kind of psychoactive effects on it.
Yep.
Like I had a week where I was doing microdosing just to see how it sort of felt. And it was just like music sounded good.
Yep.
Like I distinctly remember driving past Dreamworld.
Yep.
And I was like, fuck, it's so rad. Like, you know, I've driven past there 100 times. I just didn't care. But like, so there was like this positivity and there was like my default response to that would be something different.
Yep.
So it's like, I could sort of see how people that, and I wouldn't say I'm a negative person or I don't think I'm the kind of person that, I guess saying needs that is a bad term. I think everyone needs to always be looking, you know, and building on themselves. But I don't think I'm in a space where I'm like searching for something. Like I need to figure something out. It's more of just a constant little work in progress. But I could see how if you were in like a negative headspace and you were struggling to retrain that default response of your brain, where if you did something like that, then you really would start to like retrain just your natural reactions.
Yep.
Like how many times are you like, you know, an ad comes on at a point of a TV show and then you get someone that you watch and go, fucking ads. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like 100%. That's just a default. Like you don't even think about saying that.
Yep.
And they're the things that, you know, you can get those really negative patterns and negative responses that, you know, turn you into like a negative person or a sad person or a happy person. It's just, you don't even think about it.
Yep.
And I think that there was times where, and I think it's because of the shit that I went through in America, where like, I just don't, I'm just like, it's all good. Yeah. No worries. And, you know, one of my mates is saying like, fuck, it's so sick that you'll go into debt to build this studio and just back yourself. I'm like, I just don't even think about it anymore. Yeah. I literally just do it. Yeah. There's just I don't know, I feel like it's going to work out. Yeah. And you go with it. But it's like over time, it's like, it just becomes like a callus almost, where it's like you don't flinch at certain things that at the start of this whole journey you probably did flinch at, like, it's going to cost this much, or just you just over and over, you just train yourself. And I think that positivity's you know, an example. Like you can
underrated.
You can be a negative person that just starts to see on the bright side, and you know, that's literally like you look on the bright side. That is the thing. There's a dark side of the bright side. It's positive and negative,
for sure.
And it's like over time, it just becomes this, you know, default thing that you just go to.
Yep. And people don't understand. People might not realize what their default is because it's their default.
Yeah.
It's almost like invisible to them, and I encourage a lot, man. If there's anything that I post on like Instagram and stuff, it's usually about that sort of stuff. It's usually about self-reflection and understanding yourself a bit better, because a lot of the times people don't realize why they're in a certain situation. It's just because their default's fucked. Yeah. And it's just like they can't see it themselves. And it's just like, you just need to do some more self-reflection and understand where you're at. But the biggest key for all of it is you can change. And heaps of people are like, if you're over 30, if you're over 50, if you're over this, you can't change. Man, like science says you can change. Yeah. Like you can change. But the question I have and what I'm curious about, because I haven't done enough scientific research, is like, to what point does it get burned in there where it can't change? And is that, I go relate it back to like my mum's situation where she was severely paranoid schizophrenic, like as in like the doctors are saying like it's the worst case they've ever sort of seen.
Really?
Yeah, man.
What was it like living in the house like that? Was it a case where you just didn't really know anything else?
No, man, I knew. Yeah, I knew. I don't know why I knew. Really interesting,
like from a
thought
young
process.
age.
I knew she was different from a young age, man. And for some reason I was never embarrassed about it, which is weird. Maybe I was. Maybe my dad or grandparents would tell a different story, but as far as I can remember, I was never embarrassed. You know, she'd always come to my school. She'd think, you know, people are coming into the house and stabbing me with needles, and She'd change the lock every single week and all sorts of things. If you've seen A Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe, and if you've seen like how he's just got newspapers all over the walls, man, that was my mum. Amazing, incredible. Like it's amazing to think about it. There is something beautiful about a mind like that, where it's unfortunately it does lead to that kind of the same end result that your mum found. That like, so my sister's best friend growing up, her mum had like bipolar, schizophrenic, and she ended up killing herself as well. And it must just be like a prison to live in. And you, like, I'm sure your mum knew that she wasn't normal, or that there was different stuff going on. It'd be so hard to like live with that when, you'd want to be normal, right? Super tough, man. Super tough. And I'll never know what these people experience. My mum was actually the Puberty Blues. Have you seen the show Puberty Blues? Yeah. So she was one of the main actors in the original Puberty Blues film. Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah. So she actually had a really promising sort of like acting career, and she was becoming a really popular star and things like that. And it all became a bit too much for her. Got into drugs, got into this, got into that. Sort of growing up and trying to fit in this sort of culture. She's come from a different place. She didn't even know English when she was growing up.
Okay.
All sorts of things have contributed to what it is. But yeah, man, it's really interesting. I don't know what she would have felt at the end. She started to take medication, which zonked her out, made her feel like shit, but sort of made her somewhat of a normal person, and realize it. But it wasn't until she actually read an article on the internet, because she finally got a job after 30 years or something like that. Yeah, man. And it was at a New South Wales TAFE, and she was working on the computer, and she read this article that said, or she read a forum, and it said like, the only way to cure schizophrenia is to kill yourself.
Oh, fuck.
And she read that literally, and she told us that, and man, we were
How old were you?
prepared for it. It was 7 days before my 20th birthday. Yeah, so it was a super man. It's just the way my life's gone, right? So it's like when you say like, what was it like growing up in that? It was what I knew. It was all I knew, but I'm really grateful for that, because I am who I am. I'm empathetic towards people who have, mental instabilities, or just that people have problems and can't necessarily control themselves and things like that. And yeah, man, it's an interesting, it's made me interested in the mind more.
Yeah.
And I think, the mind is what controls us and what controls our future and our habits. And so, man, we should learn more about our minds, bro. Like learn more about what's going on in here, because that's what controls everything, right? It controls your destiny.
It's funny. So I was the guy I said I was having coffee with before we started this. So he was a paraplegic, and he can walk again. He's still handicapped. And struggles to walk. He's got a walking stick and that. But from where he was, it's like insane.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had a guy, Brad Smiley, on the podcast, who's a complete quadriplegic from the neck down. And his biggest thing, like, was that he's like, man, I used to wakeboard, I used to work out. Like, I had a thing where as soon as I started feeling shit I didn't want to feel in my mind, I would go and exercise, and I would like, I had an outlet. And then it got my mind off it. Then I come back and I was refreshed.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, now I have nothing. I get those feelings of angst and anxiety and frustration and anger, and I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, and I have had to figure out a way over years of being stuck in my, like, his body's not a thing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work. And all he's got is his brain. And man, I'm so like, he's a guy that is still, I see his shit on Instagram every single day, and every day I look at it, I'm grateful that he is able to like teach people those lessons of like how important it is, and to, figure out your mind. And like, can you imagine being stuck in a place where like you can't even kill yourself?
Dude, how fucking inspiring is that? And obviously, that's insane.
And like, he would have, I'm sure. There was times when he said he wanted to. And Woody, same thing, when he was paraplegic, he said he was bullying his mum, like bullying her into killing him.
Wow.
He was like, you're a fucking bitch, for not killing me, blah. Like,
dude,
that sort of like bullying shit. And it's just like, Jesus, dude, like, imagine that, to just be, locked into your brain with no physical outlet. Dude, and it's like, but it must be something similar to people that have like schizophrenia or bipolar, where they don't have a a way out of that.
Yeah.
That's just how their brain is, and they'd know that that's not how it's supposed to be.
For sure.
And I'm sure, I think what you said, like empathy is what everybody should have.
Yeah.
Like that should be the most practiced virtue of every human every day.
I worry because there's a lot of people out there who grow up in great families, or they have the support network that other people don't have, and they don't go through any issues, and they don't build or develop empathy as a result. And so, fuck man, it's really hard because I don't want to say it, but I almost feel like to become a bit more of a complete person, or to develop empathy and all those sorts of things, you kind of need to go through a bit of hardship.
Fucking oath you do.
Suffering is just like, necessary for growth and for success.
Well, there's a certain amount of heat and pressure that you need on sand to make diamonds.
Dude, I mean, and at the end of the day, it's just like, yeah, cool. You look at people like us. You look at people like Gary Vee. You look at all people, who are extremely successful, and from the outside, it looks all fantastic. But I fucking tell you, man, I'll pull that phone up. Every single thing I deal with in a day is fires. Every single thing I deal with at this stage in my life and business. There's nothing nice that I deal with. Really, honestly, that's the honest truth.
It's a process.
That's the honest truth, man.
It's what you have to go through.
Fuck yeah, and that's what it is, and people don't realize it. So like, you need to learn how to live in the fire, man, because that's what it is. That's what you need to get to the top. And you were talking before about like when we were talking about reverse engineering. I'll give you a good example of reverse engineering. It's a good concept.
Like I really like that. Man. I like the way that you said that. That's why I was interested, because I sort of like had an idea. I was like, but I'd like to, hear exactly how you applied it. But it's like, if you, so if like combat was like the end goal, it's like, you were smart enough to know that if you just went for that straight away, it'd fall over.
Yeah.
So it's like you needed this foundation underneath you, and it was gonna, you were gonna have to take, like, how long did it take from Hype Group or the first athletic agencies to then combat?
It's taken almost just over 5 years.
So that's like that patience, that
huge,
long
man.
game is like you take a 5-year hit for the thing that you actually want to do before you get there, and it's like that's maturity, that's wisdom, and then it's like that 5 years is a long fucking time.
A long time.
To,
but then it's not
want something, but but it's gone like that as well.
And you need to learn how to adjust. That's a really important thing too, and accept that you might have goals and you're moving in a particular direction, but things will change and zig and zag, man, because combat in itself is not the product business that I thought was going to be at the end.
Yeah.
I thought a clothing-based business might be at the end and bits and pieces. It's when you meet other people along the journey, or you learn other things and have other experiences. Of course, man. And then it's just like those have influences. So when it comes to like the agency, we specialize in like marketing for products in the health and wellness industry. So the main products that we look after are sports nutrition products, health and wellness products, beauty products, and all those sorts of things. And my business partner came on board over a year ago, and Cell was in product development for over 10 years. And it just so happened that our forces combined, and with our experiences combined, it made sense, and our martial arts passion and things like that this was the end product.
Yeah.
And it's like, and we talk about reverse engineering too. It's like, if you want to be successful, man, just look at and follow people who you admire, who are successful and are in a position that you want to get to. And then just look at what they do, research how they got there, and take the steps that they took.
Yeah.
The fucking book is there, man. Yeah. Like my legal textbook that I was telling you about with all of the fucking answers in it.
Yeah.
Man, it's in this podcast. It's in, podcasts out there. It's in like, ebooks. It's in freaking, Instagram quotes.
Yeah.
It's like you were saying before as well, like we're so sort of like immune to really sort of consuming the real value or essence of like what the message is on Instagram. Like you see a quote and you read it and you just keep scrolling and stuff like that. But man, if you think about it, those quotes have been developed or derived from people who have experienced and everything and got to the height of their industry.
Didn't get that by just like looking at everyone else's shit on Instagram and going, bang, I've got it.
Dude, those words have come from a mind that has experienced that.
Fire,
exactly.
Yeah.
It's not just something that, you know, you can't come up with those words unless you've had certain experiences.
Yeah.
So it's just like, that's reverse engineering, man. That's what I did. And then you look at it from more of a practical position. When we look at combat, we're like, cool, this is where we want to get to. How much is it going to cost? Let's do our research. How much is the manufacturing cost? How much marketing costs? How much is this and how much is that? And that's what a business plan's for, and marketing plan and financial plans. And you break it down and make it a real thing.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about your partner with the hairdressing business, it's like, how much do you now need to make in order to survive on a week? And what do you need to do to get there? Break it all down, man, and you can get there.
Oh,
it's just like, you just follow the plan. And it's just like,
you just have to be okay with, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
100%.
Because you just can't have both. Like, both doesn't exist.
Yep.
And the people that have anything worth having are the ones that were comfortable not having it for a really long time.
Definitely.
And, you know, now, and it becomes these like wins that you get every time you go through, like, you know, the power going off and like dog sitting and keeping the dog food in a fucking esky.
Yeah.
It's like every time when the lights come back on, you feel amazing. Yep. And it's like those small wins where it's like, you know what, fuck it, like that. I can't be stopped.
Yep.
You know, 100%. I got through that, and it feels low when you're there.
Yep.
But it's like you should feel low. Mm-hmm. You need to feel low.
Definitely.
Like, you know, there was no one there to protect me, no one to pat me on the back, no one to like, you know, fucking mollycoddle you, and it's gonna be okay. Like, you get through it. You ride that wave of emotion and you frustration. And you think that fuck, this sucks, and I'm halfway across the world, and fucking I'm never gonna make it. And then you get through it, and then you're like, oh, it wasn't that bad.
100%. Man, it was like one of the best things that happened to you. Like,
oh, for sure. I remember there's so much stuff. You know what is crazy too, and it's a real testament to this kind of stuff. I have done some ridiculously cool shit that I've completely forgotten about.
Yeah.
That I have to get fully reminded. Like a trip to Norway, forgot about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was cool as fuck. But I'll never forget, you know, the time when my hot water and electricity went out, and I was dog sitting and I was fucking, you know, I'll never forget that. Yep. And what does that say about that experience?
Yeah.
That it's powerful, that it means something.
Yeah. And
it's like, you know, there's so many times, like I got a call from a dude that I forgot about the other day.
Yep.
I really liked the guy.
Yeah.
You know, I forgot about it. I forgot about a whole trip that we were on.
Yep.
And it was just like, gee, oh, fuck, I felt bad. Mm-hmm. But then it's like, that's sort of, it just, I guess, goes to show like what is real and what's the stuff that shapes your character.
Yep.
The stuff that shapes your character and gets you to this end point of, not end point, but the current point of where you are. Mm-hmm. It's more so about the shit that you could endure more than the good times.
Definitely.
You know, and I think that it's just so important for people to realize that when you go through, like when you get faced with a hardship, and nowadays I look for that stuff. I look to be tested because I'm like, fuck, I know what's on the other side of this now. But the problem is, and I think, you know, what you alluded to before, people that have like fairly safe and protected upbringings, they don't face something until like later in life, you know, to like 27 to, you know, 30, 35, or they get a divorce, and that's like the first thing and it fucks their life. Just rocks them to their core. And it's like, I think that, you know, it is important to put yourself out there. It is important to fail young, fail early, you know, like have it happen to where it's like you go through it. And now, like, I feel like I do look forward to the challenging parts of life. I'm like, fuck, yeah, let's do it. We'll get through it. And you know that on the other side, there's going to be something good. But the thing, and that's why I like talking about this stuff as well, because there might be people that they haven't hit that hard thing yet, or they're just hitting it now. It's like, you've just got to get through it once. And then you get through it again, and then you get through it again, and then you get comfortable being there. And when you're in a place of like, when you can be comfortable being uncomfortable and going without the fancy cars and the haircuts and the gym membership, like you can really fucking live then. You know, you're not 100%. Tied down by shit. You can move, you can jump on things quickly, you can, you know, like you can start to make your own moves.
You have to be like that if you want success, even little success.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want to say this because I don't want to, I know people take shit so literally and, you know, take it out of context, but I completely agree with you. I think it can be a curse when you've had a perfect life and you 27, like you said, 27, 28, 29, 30, 35, and you hit your first problem and you just can't handle it.
Yeah.
It's like, you're so fucked.
Yeah.
And it's because you haven't gone through any hardship.
Yeah.
So is the answer, you should take some more risks and endure some more hardship? I don't know, man. I don't know what it is, but I know for sure that the more success I have is because of the more hardships I'm conquering.
Yeah.
Man, I'll give you a practical example. 6 months ago, we opened a cafe in Burleigh.
Oh yeah.
Whereabouts is it? Nutrition Station. So it's just on the Gold Coast Highway there.
Yep.
And we were in a position in life and business, and we're like, cool, let's open a new business and do this. And man, we were naive to understanding what goes into running a cafe business. We hadn't run a cafe hospitality business before.
Yeah.
Man, it was hardship. It was literally, we were losing, between $3,000 and $5,000 a week.
Really?
Yeah, man, for a long time.
Yeah, it sucked.
A long time. And it's just like, my partner was sitting there going, fuck, like, come on, we got to do
bleed like this.
Yeah. And I was sitting there going, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Because I was just thinking, this is it. Like, this is the practical problem that I need to solve. And once I solve it, I'm just going to have more experience as a businessman, more experience in life and running this type of business. And if I didn't go through this, I wouldn't have gone through all the experiences I could, and I wouldn't be as good of a businessman as a result. And so it's like, I'm always searching, you have to go through those situations. And now we're not in that situation anymore, thankfully, because we're able to think above it, not emotionally attach ourselves to it, and make the calculations and the calculated decisions to get ourselves and move the pieces of the machine and the business to get it to a position that we needed to. But man, people get so caught up in that fire, and they get burned, and then they disappear, and they turn to coal. But you got to rise like a phoenix through that fire, man. If and then you'll see the light. And then you'll go through another issue, and then you'll go through another issue, because you keep growing. And the higher you grow, the more problems you have. That's just what it is.
Well, I think that I'm the worst at remembering where I read shit.
Yeah.
But like there was something I was reading, and it was like, you're never going to have less problems. You just got to choose to have problems that you want to solve.
Great.
So like, and it's fucking true, man.
Yep.
Like, it's so true. Like, whenever shit comes up with the podcast, like, I love the podcast.
Yep.
So I want to figure out those problems. But when problems came up with my car, I just don't give a fuck.
Same, man.
Like, I don't give a fuck.
Yep.
I popped my tire going into the gym the other day, burst it, put on my spare. My spare I took off because it had a flat spot. So I'm just driving around with a fucking flat spot. It's like ding, 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 ding. And I'm like, I drive to the gym and then I drive home. I was like, I just don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like, that's a, it's a problem, but it's a problem I just don't really care about.
Yeah.
So it's like, you just need to work your way towards all of your problems in your life being problems that you actually want to solve.
I think that's a great advice.
Because there will always be problems.
Yep.
And, like, I got a mate where he's like, had a problem with this and problem. It was with a chick, I think. And I was like, all right, dude, here's the thing. If you don't want to be with this chick, that's cool. Like, I get it. But that's got to be your reason. But if your reason is that there's just too many problems, guaranteed, as soon as you leave this chick, the next chick you shack up with, you're going to have problems.
100%.
It's like, just choose the problems. Like, this, you're going to have them. So is this chick that you want to be with the person that you want to solve these problems with? Or is she not? Because you can't leave because there's problems. You leave because you don't want to solve the problems with that particular person.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, you cannot avoid problems in your life. And if you spend your life running from problems, you're fucked.
Dude, that's a fucking awesome piece of advice. I'm actually going to take that one. I think about that all the time. I think that's fantastic. I think about it in relationships too. Exactly that way. I've been with my partner for 15 years, and I think you're completely right. I choose to want to go through the problems that we go through with her. And man, so many of our friends just go through partners and they just haven't, taken on that philosophy. So that's a good lesson, man.
Yeah.
And put that out there, eh?
It makes so much sense. Like, you can't avoid, like, there's the same thing with this. Like, there's problems every fucking day that come up with whether, like, you run out of hard drive space, and then you don't have time to go to Officeworks, and or like you've got cards that you haven't, it's like they're little problems, but it's like if I was at another job, there would be other problems of, if I was working for someone else filming, there'd be their cards that aren't empty. You know what I mean? So it's just like you cannot escape problems in life.
Definitely.
Just work to build a life where you have more control over the problems, and they're problems that you want to solve.
Definitely.
And it's like there is no easy.
There's no such thing, man.
Yet.
And everyone's searching for it. Everyone's searching for it, man. Everyone's searching for the easy way. I think it's a real problem with sort of our society at the moment. And back in the day, I used to have bosses that used to talk about the what is it? The Y generation. I don't even know what generation we are.
Nah, it's all good.
What are we?
Yeah, it's fucking bullshit.
Some generational bullshit. Yeah. Millennials and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I used to hate
I'm a millennial.
it. I think I am too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think
that shows how much I care, right?
I think we just fit.
Yeah,
we just fit.
We're just in there.
I'm just in it, so you guys, for sure.
Yeah. So, and I used to hate it so much. Do you know what though, bro?
It's kind of true.
It's kind of fucking true. And I hate it because I just backed up the millennials so hard for so long, bro. I seriously did.
So
what do we got here?
All right, let's figure this out.
Generation X, Y, and Z.
Because I know my parents are like baby boomers.
Yeah.
Well, that's too in depth, that one.
Yeah, that was full on.
Did we find out about the Victoria's Secret thing?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Is that heavy?
Yeah. Well, basically,
was I way off?
No, you're onto it. Like he sold the company for $1 million.
Yeah.
And then it grew to obviously being over $1 billion company.
How long after?
Oh, it was a few years after, but he reinvested in another business, My Child's Destiny, and filed for bankruptcy and then got divorced as well.
Yeah, it sounds dog shit, My Child's Destiny.
But basically, what you've touched on as well, ultimately the story of sadness and triumph teaches us not to give up on dreams, to persevere with desperate hardships.
Yeah.
It's pretty much a key to what you guys have been talking about.
Isn't it funny that...
crazy that he killed himself over
it's
that
crazy,
shit,
man. I even listened to a couple of your podcasts. I obviously wanted to listen to get the vibe, and it's funny how like a lot of the time we always just go into a mindset chat.
Yeah.
Don't you reckon? Like, like, do you find that with your podcasts when you have a guest? You
I
always
like
dive into.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah. So do I, man.
Yeah.
Like, but
it's funny you said like you look into that stuff. Like, and that's one of the things. Like, that's like my stoner side coming out of me. Like, because man, like, America was like a really crazy lesson for me, because I was around really good people, like really fucking smart people, really successful people, and then I was around all the people that wanted to be like them.
Yeah.
And I just felt like I was just like I didn't fit in like to either one. Like I couldn't say I was trying to be them, and I sort of hung around these guys, and one of the guys, he's one of the main dudes at Red Bull.
Yep.
And to this day, he's one of my best mates. I talk to him all the time.
Yep.
And he would just talk about self-awareness.
Yep.
And you go through these phases in your life where I was not self-aware at all. Like I was just a fucking idiot. And like I can look back at it now, but in the moment I had it all figured out. I knew blah, blah, blah. And then I was one of those people. And then when my mate would just like, you got to be self-aware, you got to audit yourself, you got to look at yourself, and that's one of the reasons I got like into weed.
Yep.
And that was that paranoia feeling, but it wasn't. It was just like the issues that you bury. We bury so many issues,
yep,
into the subconscious. And so I started like, we'd go to these parties, right? And my mate would be like pointing out that dude's fucking this and this, and you see this image that they'd portray. Then he knew like what was really going on. And you just see under all of this sort of like the facade. And then you can see how these people interact with the world with just living through their ego, and with like no self-awareness.
Yeah.
And then it was, I don't know, like, and then I think I went through a period of time over there. I went through a period of time where like I really didn't know who I was.
Yep.
And I've always been really great at making friends and like hanging out, and like I'd get invited to all the parties, and everyone sort of wanted to be around, but I didn't really know who I was like in that period of time.
Yep.
And then I just got super into like, just like that whole self-awareness thing, and like really looking at yourself, like how do you talk to people, how do you interact with people, how do you make people feel?
Yep.
When someone are you the kind of person that like people will message, hey dude, You know what I mean? Like, there's so many things that, and it's like, I think I went through a process of like not wanting anything in a way. Mm-hmm. And when you read into like Buddhism, like that's the true essence of, you know, how Buddha became Buddha, was that he let go of everything. He had really no expectations either way. He had no want for highs or lows. He just, it was purely existence. And that's like a super extreme version of it. But I sort of, I just got into this way of thinking of like being really detached from everything and being like, you know, because I think that you have consciousness, you have your mind, and emotions and anger and suffering and happiness, and they're not you. They're not your consciousness. They're things that kind of pass through your consciousness. Like when you're angry, you're just like, that's just an emotion that's kind of passing through your consciousness. You aren't anger. You can't exist in anger. It's not a part of you. There's not this angry thing and then it kind of goes into the background and then you bring it up again. You know, like it's just these things that pass through. So it's like, I don't know, I just try and be like this, aware that all the things that go on, it's not you. And you have more control over those emotions and stuff than what you think you do. Like when you get super angry, you can get so fucking lost in that anger. It's like all you are is anger at that moment. But it's just you letting that thing take over you. Or when you are jealous, that's that thing taking over you. Or when you have FOMO, that's that emotion taking over you. So it's just like, I don't know, trying to think more in terms of that Buddhist type.
I think it's fantastic. I think it's a fantastic reference. I think that if you want to achieve any sort of influence level of leadership, like authentic leadership, and like we talk about success, you need to be able to control those things. You need to be able to control those emotions, or, you know, see what's a right response and a wrong response to protect your energy and your emotions, because that's all you have. I think it was really interesting how you're talking about, you know, if we talk about Buddhism and stuff, and it's sort of just like not wanting anything. If I think about it, because I was just trying to relate it to myself, because it's the easiest thing I can do, is like, everyone's like, oh, what are you working so hard for? What are you working so hard for? Get the house or the car or whatever. Man, I honestly swear to God, I don't know anyone that cares less about money than I do.
Yeah, I'm the exact same, eh?
Man, I could not care less about money. It's nothing to do with that. But people struggle to understand that, because they think, what are you trying to work towards? So much more to it.
But it's like the work is what you do. Like that's why you do it. You do it for the work.
I've done it for the work. I want to leave a positive impact. A lot of what I do is strategic in the fact that I want to leave a positive impact in my community, and that'll grow over time. I mean, martial arts is a big part of my life, so I have a gym that I want, you know, the amount of people that you see go through that gym and develop confidence go through all that sort of stuff. And, you know, we have a healthy cafe because I want to promote health. You know, we have a marketing agency because we want to help people start businesses doing things that they love doing. And the people we work with are businesses we believe in. And we have a, you know, sports nutrition brand that's local because we want to keep fighters on the mat, and we get really fucked up. So it's just like, we need it. And so like, I want to create a positive influence on my local community and then scale that. And if that's what you call legacy over a long period of time, then sure, I guess that it's what it is. It's only been in the last year that I've probably identified that in myself. Yeah, man, that's powerful. And now I'm just sort of charging towards that. Right? Money comes, man. Money comes when you just work.
It's a byproduct.
Of course.
Yeah.
And, you know, it doesn't matter. Because when you have your issues and you're in your nice house, still issues. Well, you still feel problems, the same way.
Problems are problems.
Yeah, man. Like, cool. Nice house.
Yeah.
Sweet.
No,
we all want it. We all want it, but it's like.
And I think it's cool. Like there's houses in this street even where I'm like, I'd love to live in a house like that. You know, it's like, but again, it's like why I want that house is because like my mate today, I just rode my bike. Like he called me and I was here and he's like, oh, I'm at the pantry or whatever cafe. And I was like, okay, I'll see you in a sec. And then I like rock up on my bike literally 3 minutes later. And he's like, what the fuck? Where are you? Where were you? I was like, I was at my house. Like, that's why I want that house. You You know, I don't want that house for any material thing. Like, I want to be able to ride my bike to get a coffee.
Yep.
Like yesterday, and like yesterday was a sick day of like a little mini milestone in life almost, or like not a milestone. Like I just had like a reflective moment where my mate, he's actually my next door neighbor. We've been surfing. And he's like, oh, I wonder what the waves are doing. And I just was like, I'll just go check. And I got in the car and I drove down. It was a minute. And like, so when I first started surfing I lived in Temecula, which was like an hour from the beach in California.
Yep.
And so then I started surfing by driving an hour every morning at 5 a.m. We'd surf before work and then we'd drive back to work. So it was like a 2.5 hour ordeal. The waves are shit, you still surfed, and that you just took what you got. It just didn't matter. And I always was like, oh, I'd be so sick to like live on the beach and just be able to check the waves, and if they sucked, don't go.
Yep.
Go back home and then wait till they're good again.
Yeah.
And yesterday was one of those days where, you know, James was like, oh, wonder what the waves are doing. I was like, I'll just go check. Drove down there. I just stood there and just looked at the waves for a bit, and I should have surfed. It ended up getting a little windy.
Yep.
I was like, tide's like kind of low, like it's working, but you know, I think it's going to get good in like the next hour, wind come up. But it was just like to stand there, and like that was a thing that wasn't really a goal. It wasn't a thing I wrote down, but it's like I just fucking kept on trucking. And then eventually I got that thing where I could just go check the surf.
It's such a privilege to do that.
Yeah, and then I text my mate that I lived with in America. He still lives over there.
Yep.
And I just sent him a photo. I was like, dude, you remember when we were like drive to Oceanside? I was like, I just can't. The waves look pretty good, but like I reckon they'll be better later. So I'm going.
Dude, that's awesome.
But it's like, that's what, you know, that's the reason for wanting to have a house here.
Yep.
You know, it's not, there's literally no other reason. Like I just want to be able to do that. And that seems like such a small, insignificant thing, but it's like, that to me is like, that's a pure thing.
Yep.
There's no ego in that. There's no, it's not an image that I want someone to work. Like that's solely for me.
Yep.
And my time of like, I just want to be able to go to the beach and surf and then come back. I'm not going to be a pro surfer. I don't want anything out of it.
Yep. You
know, and I think that they're like the things that if you're going to chase something, identify something, you know, like you said, it's like the protein thing. It's like we get fucked up, we train a lot. Like that's there's a pureness in that. Yeah. And it's like, and then you know, like, this is what you'd need, and it comes out of like a, something that is like quite pure. Yep. And it's like, I think that's really what I've been going towards. Like with money, with the podcast, like I want to be able to pay Mick a full-time wage. Like he doesn't get that at all. Yep. So it's like, that is like a motivation. But to me, that feels like a pure motivation.
That's a fucking great goal. That's awesome, man.
So
I want to see Mick get paid.
Yeah. 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 Let's start a Kickstarter. Let's crowdfund Mick's mate. No, but it's like, that it's just like those pure things. And I think like you've got to know yourself. Mm-hmm. You can't make like a goal of having this pure thing without really knowing yourself first. 100%. And I think that's where, like, if you look at like money, hot girlfriend, fucking partying, or if you're single, getting like hot chicks, and like how many people do you know that like read the game and then they go out and fucking do the games? It's like fuck, bro, you don't know, you don't even know who you are. Yeah, like you're literally parroting something from a book that you read. It's like you should endeavor to figure yourself out 100%, and then have a person that wants to be with you because you know yourself. Yep. So it's like, but it's so easy to go towards those goals. They're so obvious. They're so in front of you. But that goal of me like wanting to just go check the surf. Yep. That was 6 years ago. Yep. To yesterday, I had that epiphany, and I was like, I just did the thing that I said I wanted to do 6 years ago.
Dude, that's a fucking awesome goal. And I think it's like, that's why travel's good, because people, you can go and experience other cultures who might not have as much, and then you look at, how privileged you are and those sorts of things. But yeah, man, what you were talking about before as well is just like, knowing who you are and what you're really trying to achieve is so powerful. And people, they don't get all the answers. You'll look at someone who's successful, but you don't really know how successful they are or what they've gone through in this kind of digital age. And, Hype Group's a great business. But for the first 3 years, I did not pay myself a single cent from that business. Not a single cent. But I had 6 employees at that time. And I was so happy, man. I had my friends involved, and I was paying them a wage, and I was able to pay them money to build this business that I was passionate about. And I'll tell you what, man, to be honest, like the first time that I was able to pay myself was fucking pretty amazing. And then, you know, I'll never take for granted the fact that I can now pay myself from a business that I've been able to create. But yeah, man, it's funny. People just want to, you know, build a business to get it money quickly and buy the house and do all these sorts of things. But yeah, man, that's actually not how it works. No. You know, you won't get there if that's, you know, the mentality.
I've still never paid myself a wage ever.
Dude.
I've got my business account.
Yep.
And I just live off that.
Yep.
And I don't buy shit.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't buy clothes. Luckily I get like clothes and shit for free. But like there's a ton of cool shit that I like to buy.
Yep.
There's so much stuff that I would like to have. You just go without doing it.
You fucking have to, man.
But you just, you know, you can, it's easier to like exist out of a business.
Yep.
But in terms of like paying a wage out of a business is a massive step.
It's huge,
I've never done that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's pretty crazy, man. It's pretty crazy. And, yeah, when we're doing that now, I don't take that for granted at all, man. It's huge. It's huge. But it's one of those things too, man, when you have staff too, and you'll realize that you're pulling money out of your own pocket, really.
Yeah.
Because it's like your connections, your hustle over all of these years to build this, and your networks who are coming in and now paying you, and sponsors who you've built connections with who are paying you. That's money that you've brought in, man. Like, you've fucking hunted for that shit. And when you have to give that to another person, man, that's a real privilege to be able to work for someone and get a wage. We fucking take that shit for granted.
Yeah, that's cool you said that.
Oh,
that's a really cool way of putting it.
Dude, you know what, man? Because it's the truth. Like that, you know, we don't talk about it enough, because it's just like, oh, everyone thinks like when you work for a business, you work for the man, there's, you know, money is endless and all these sorts of things. Like, my staff wouldn't have a clue some of the shit that I've had to go through on weeks to hustle to make sure that they got their wage. But they've always got their wage on time, their cash on time. And it's just like, people take that for granted, man. They take for granted that, you know,
like
I'm going to have a lazy day. You know, I'm not going to, there's no output today, and, you know, I don't give a fuck, and I'm just going to go on holidays and use my annual leave. And, you know, I don't care that you need to hire another staff member and pay me at the same time to do the job that I should be doing. But man, all that shit, like, no one thinks about that. That comes out of, you know,
like your pocket.
That sounds terrible, right?
No, that's true.
But for a business owner, you know, I don't blame them, or I can relate to them for having that sort of mindset. So like, you want people to appreciate and respect the privilege that they've got a job, and that, you know, you've trusted them, that they're, you know, special, and you're giving them money to be able to do this rather than paying yourself because you want the business to grow. But we've all been in that situation where you're working for someone and you're just like, fuck just this job. Rocks, man. Dude, this is like, and the cafe's been an awesome experience for me, because it's just like, it's another level of that. You know, with the agency, I've got fucking amazing staff who are career driven, and they can see potential. They want to grow the business. But when you have a cafe business, it's just like, there's this like transient nature of staff, and people will just disappear. Yeah. Someone will be hungover, the chef won't come in. And it's just like, what the fuck? You know, I've just put all this fucking money into this beautiful cafe and tried to create this great environment. And people don't give a fuck. Yeah. So it's just like, man, it's really interesting sort of growing business, as you know, man, and hiring staff and things like that, and just seeing how the world works and seeing what people's expectations are of how shit works. Yeah. I didn't know how business worked until I got into it. I didn't realize until I made the sacrifices, the risks and man, how's tax? Fucking tax is hectic. Yeah. Like, you can literally run a business, make $1 million and still have tax to pay after that. And you're like, how does that even work? Like, you really need to be smart, and there's so much to business that people don't give credit for. This shit's hard, man. Having a successful businesses is fucking really hard, and people take that for granted. So and that's another like way to easily get caught up in emotions and think like, oh, why aren't you respecting your position here and doing all those sorts of things? It's easy to get emotionally caught up in that. Yeah. But you need to put yourself in other people's shoes, and, you know, they're here to get a job and to live the life they want to live and go and have their holidays and do that sort of stuff. And they're here for a different reason from you as the business owner. So that's been another experience that I've learned over the years. It's like just again having that empathy for that person's here for a particular reason. It might not be the same reason I'm here for, but I still just got to keep going with my mission and provide the best sort of like environment that I can, do the best I can, be the best person I can, and whatever happens. And if they choose to leave, that's out of my control. And all those principles, man, they all start to come in, and start to work. And man, life and business is fucking not easy.
Do you think like, so, you were saying, I guess we got into that tangent because we're saying like this we always sort of go into like mindset and stuff like that. Do you think about it? Do you go more into like the scientific side of like, the chemicals in the stuff that you have going on your brain and, the different pathways, or do you look more at like a spiritual side, or do you just sort of, go into everything? And like when did you really start thinking about that kind of stuff?
Interesting. I've always thought about it.
And do you think that come from like your mum? And
for sure, man, definitely has to have.
Trying to like get a bit of a reason as to why everything was the way it was.
Yep, definitely. And just how it all worked. And I think maybe I was probably a bit more spiritual focused for the majority of my life, and believing in energy and all that sort of stuff. I'm really, really big on vibes, man. Like if I walk into a party and I'm not feeling the vibes, I'm out of there. Yeah. I'm one of those people who kind of like walks in and I can have dinner with someone and I can leave and I can be exhausted because they've just kind of zapped me of my energy.
Yeah.
And then I be with other people and they lift my energy. You're lifting my energy today. It's just
that's definitely like, that's what I got when I met you at the gym.
Yeah.
And I was just like, there was a super positive, and then like I'm big on that, and I don't think you meet people that often that will like pump you up and make you feel better for just being there.
Yeah.
And that's what I was like, damn, that's really the reason I was like, oh, yep, got to get this dude in to talk,
That means more to me than you can imagine. A little secret sort of like rule I have for myself that I would never say out loud, but I'm saying out loud now, is that like I want people to feel better when I'm there than when I'm not there. I think that's a good sort of like sort of thing to strive for, is like make people feel really good when you're around, and make them feel more powerful, make them feel more confident, make them feel more special. I went through some business breakups and partnership breakups, and Big Aaron, my partner in Apex, who you didn't meet him, may not have met him on that night. He said something to me that will stick with me forever. And I'm talking about myself now, which I don't like to do, but he said something that was really powerful. And he said, like, my light shines on people's insecurities, and it sort of like exposes people's insecurities, because I am cool with myself and I'll just go in and make people feel good and stuff like that. And a lot of people like don't know how to deal with that. Yeah. And so that, it exposes a lot of people's insecurities. And I thought that was really like, fuck, man, that was a really interesting way sort of observation. And so I take that power, I respect that power that I might have. And so I want to put it to good use. I always want people to lift people up, man. I always want, the people around me to be better. I've always been driven that way. Like anyone who's around me will succeed more. Always, man. Like I can give you a million examples, but it's just like gloating. It's just like I'm always trying to lift everyone up because the whole world is putting you down. Yeah. The whole fucking world is putting you down.
I just think that people need to understand that the world doesn't give a fuck.
No.
Like I had a moment, I spoke about a bunch on here, but I almost fell out of a helicopter in Alaska.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was filming, and we were filming over this glacier, and I wasn't carabined to the helicopter. I'm standing on the skids of this fucking thing, and the chopper's banked, and I've almost fallen out, and I grabbed it, and I had like a fucking red and everything. And then I was just like, oh shit, all right, well that's what near-death experience is like.
Holy shit.
And it was so heavy. But the thing that is like burned into my brain is that there's like can you go on my personal Instagram, Mick, and show it? It'll be like ages away, but I just want to show Miles the glacier. Have I ever showed you the pic of it?
Nah.
So like it's fucking eerie, dude. Like so you'll see like the image. And anyway, so it's like it was this glacier. And I've almost fallen out, and I went like completely just hot.
Yep.
Like it was minus 30 fucking something degrees. And I was the coldest I've ever been in my life, and then I was the hottest I've ever been in my life.
Wow.
And I fucking took my goggles and my beanie off, and I threw them in the back at one of my buddies for Red Bull. And I was just like, fuck. And he's like, going, what? But I didn't want to say anything because I hadn't gotten back in the helicopter yet. So I like threw all my shit off, got back in the helicopter, clipped it up. And I was just like, whew. And I just remember staring down at this glacier, and it'll be way down. And find it. And I just remember thinking, like, the world doesn't give a fuck. Like, if I fell in that glacier, I'm like 9 hours north of Anchorage, Alaska. Yeah.
Around here?
Yeah, right up there, that one there. Yep. Nah, next one over. Yep. So, like, this is where I was when I died, basically, when I almost died. So we flew right over that. And I think I wrote Life's a Trip. Yeah, because I was just like, yeah, I almost died. And but I'm flying over that, and, like, it was like a handrail away from, like, not being there anymore. But that glacier wouldn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like, it wouldn't have mattered, man, to like the world. It would have mattered to like my friends and my family.
Yeah.
The world keeps turning. And I think that if you've got an expectations. If you've got an expectation that the world should care, or that the world owes you anything, or that it's not, like, I don't even think that the world's trying to beat you down. I just think it's a hard place to exist.
Absolutely.
And it's like, it just doesn't care.
Dude.
And if you're wrapped up thinking that the world owes you something, or that it should care, or it's being mean to you, or it's singling you out, or this always happens to you, it's like, you're a fucking loser. You're a loser if you think like that, because the reality is the world don't give a fuck. It doesn't care. You care.
Have you seen the series One Strange Rock yet?
Oh,
with Will Smith?
Oh no, I've watched like 2 episodes of it.
I think it's with Will Smith.
Yeah. The first one's about the astronauts, right?
Yeah.
Dude, that one astronaut was annoying the shit out of me.
Oh, really?
Well, who's the guy? I'm like, he's like the dude that would be like, hey, I'm an astronaut. Yeah. He was like the vegan version of an astronaut.
Yeah,
and like everything he said was like, when I was in space.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, we get it. You're on the show because you're an astronaut. But yeah, I've seen one episode of that.
Dude, keep watching it. It goes into, one of those like spastic sort of explanations of how small we are in the world, and
that's it.
It pulls out. It basically shows how much we know as to how big the cosmos is, and the cosmos is the furthest that we know about existence. And it basically has this image of Earth, and then it pulls out and it shows like the Milky Way and the solar system, keeps pulling out to the universe, and it pulls out to the millions of universes, then it pulls out, and you're like, holy shit. And we're sitting here complaining about fucking that water being hot, or some shit. It's just like, yo man, like you were saying, we are so fucking minuscule in this whole thing we call life. And it's just like, dude, just give me a break, like.
Oh no, I
problems
totally
ain't
agree.
problems, man. Like,
I totally agree. It's so weird though, because like, how do you navigate the you have to think you're significant enough to like take a step forward. But then you also have to balance that insignificant, like you have to like manage your insignificance in like the grand scheme of things. So it's like there is this constant
you need to have humility.
There is like there is this disconnect between like the two things, and it's like it's almost like whatever you run towards, you run further away from. And it's, there's so many of those things in life where if you get philosophical and if you really look at the universe and your place in the world, and again, it becomes to like that self-reflection thing, but it's hard to like rationalize such a great disconnect, and we seem to just exist in this spectrum of like these two poles that can never be together. Like they will never rationalize themselves. Like how small you are in terms of the universe itself compared to how important you need to place yourself in the universe to get ahead in the universe. They will never get closer.
Dude, life is one big conundrum, man. It's one big fucking, black and like it's one big grey space. But yet everyone tries to fit everything in a black and white space, and they try and understand it. We're not going to understand shit about this. Like it's not to be understood. Do you know what I mean? Like in a way, I like to think of it that way. It's just like, so it's, and then if we get a little bit more granular, it's just like, there's no such thing as a right or wrong, man. If we pull it down to sort of like earth level, it's just like, there's no such thing as right or wrong. You just navigate it, man, and just try and be a good person and stop trying to like, get too serious about shit. But
well, that's why I always feel like it's like that detachment sort of mentality of like,
people take detachment too far as well, though.
It just is, you know? Like, because I just try not to be like, have my emotions attached to something or my identity. Like, I think that's probably one of the biggest things that we're facing in society at the moment is that people put their identity into a thing.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, you know, whether it's like vegans, you know, you see it with like CrossFit, you see it with politics, you see it with fucking Peter. All these things where it's like, it's just an idea. And have you read Sapiens yet?
No.
Oh, so I've been reading. I spoke about it a few times in here, but it's like a book on sort of human history. But it's like even like the human mind just has this like crazy way of people can just share an idea, and it can become like so powerful. To where it's like you'll die for that idea, you'll put someone in jail for the rest of their life for that idea. You know, like a parking fine. A parking fine doesn't exist.
Correct.
It's not a thing. It's an idea. And it's a belief that enough people share that when I get one put on my window, I'll pay it. Because then a judge believes that if I didn't pay that, then I'll get another fine on top of it. And then if I keep going through that process, that judge will just keep believing that he needs to do more and more. It just escalates. But
the value of money.
Money is another, you know, money is this idea that we all subscribe to. And it works. So it's like, it's easy to get behind. Religion, that's an idea. All these things are like ideas. And it's like, even to like being a vegan, that's an idea that you believe in. There's not, a vegan isn't a thing. It's just an idea. And it's like, I just think that it's almost like we've got to this point that's so far gone. It's like, the more we know, the less we know. And it's like, you know, you go back into, say, the medieval times, and you had witches and you had dark magic and you had all these sicknesses you couldn't cure, and they come from gods, and it's like, that's a simple time. And it's like, now we know, this comes from this, but it's like, it's just this rabbit hole. And it's like the more we get into it and the more we learn, it's like the more we realize we don't know.
100%.
And then it's so now it just seems like people are so like put off or jaded by the fact that we just really don't know anything. And it's like, okay, so we know everything, but now we know nothing. And I need to exist in this life. I need something to cling to. I need a rock. I need a pillar. I need a crutch. I need something, because the more we figure out, the less I feel like I know.
Definitely.
And it's like that. I think that is this really weird place that we exist in now. That's
a fucking cool. That's a cool thing to talk about. I love that you just brought that up, and I agree with you, man. And you know, we were talking about before. It's just like, how far have I been like thinking about sort of mindset and the way the mind works and stuff like that. And I was saying how like usually I was spiritual. Lately, I've probably delved more into the science part of it, because now I want to know a bit more. I've gone to the next level where I want to know a bit more. But the more you research, the more you realize that we don't know much. And then the same as that one strange rock. It's just like, cool, we know, you know, we have an idea of what the cosmos is and what the end of space is. But it's just like recently, well, how long ago was it? It was like a month ago that we only got the first photos of a black hole that were actually real, but they were like digital sort of like renders of a whole bunch of data.
Can you look that up?
That showed what the black hole looked like.
Like it was a calculate. Well, no, because it was all done off calculations previously.
Correct. And you know, the image of a black hole was an idea that we made up. And so it's
there
like,
it is.
And that's as far as we know. But you know, how we've heard a lot about black holes.
We've known what they are forever.
Yeah, but we actually don't know much. And we haven't. This is the first time we've like pulled some data together, and we can sort of see what it looks like. It's just like, we don't know shit, bro. And you know, like my partner Holly is a online coach, a pharmacist, incredibly intelligent human being, and great at her job in helping women transform themselves through sort of nutrition. And the more I started sort of like follow her and you know, learn by osmosis, I guess, or you know, about everything all the information that's out there right now about nutrition and stuff like that, and the way the body works and all that sort of stuff. It's like, we only know so much, man.
Nah, yeah, we still
don't know much. We're still having these arguments, you know, about sugar and about alcohol and about all these things, but that's all been debunked, and then something else is coming through and something else is coming through. It's just like, yeah, man, there's still learning.
Too many variables, man.
Yeah.
Like, I think that that's like the struggle that I have with, again, it's like, I don't take much supplements because it's like, fuck, bro, like, I don't have time, like, I don't know what to do, and it's like you hear one thing, you do another thing, and it's like, then it, you know, you hear like about sugar and about this, and it's just like, man, I think that it's like, at some point, like, you just got to go with what sort of feels good in a way, right?
100%.
Like, it just seems like it's this constant like rabbit hole of like just shit that is coming out, new research and this, and it's like, where do you put your energy?
You just need to find your own way. And I use this analogy all the time with like jiu-jitsu, and something that we are really big on in our coaching style is teaching more concept based now over technique specific based. Say for example, we were always learned how to do an arm bar, which is basically, you know, hyperflexing someone's like elbow joint to the point that it breaks. There's various ways that you can do it, but you know, you'll go to one school and you'll go to another school and they'll say it's step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. This is how you do an armbar. And you'll even go to a class and then you'll do an armbar and say that's the wrong way to do it. But you got to the end result.
Yeah.
So it's just like, what's the actual concept here? There's no right or wrong. There's not a particular way of doing things. Sure, there's a concept that surrounds it and there's a result that you want to achieve. You just fill the gaps, man. Yeah. That's just kind of like the way I live life too. It's just like, I know the kind of like outcome that I want. You know, I look at everyone's sort of roadmap or ladder of how they've gotten there, and I just work out which one suits me and work it out myself. So, yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, the whole conceptual thing is, especially in jiu-jitsu, like that, I look for concepts. I look for, I personally like don't look to learn techniques. I try and understand concepts more so, and I think that helps me out. And you know, you look at guys like Kit Dale, he can get a black belt in like 5 years or whatever. Massive. Doing it mostly off concepts. But I mean, even like when I'll be training with people like intro people that come into the gym, and I want as many people to stay in the gym as possible. You know, and it's crazy, like you'd see it as well, like people that come in day one, put on an intro gi, and then you see him a year later and it's like, you're a fucking killer now. You know, like you're a savage. 100%. You're a totally different person. And you know, so you want to like foster that, and it's like, it's crazy that if you tell one, like, you know, you say something like, all right, someone's trying to pass your guard this way. If your knees are pointing towards them, it's going to be much harder for them to pass than if your knees are pointing the other way. And it's like that one that's a concept. Or it's like, if you're on the bottom, always try and get an underhook. And again, it's like, then you can build your own, 100%, you know, through trial and error around that. But if you never know to even, what's to say that you even look for that underhook for 3-4 months? You know, a lot of people as well, like they start to get to that level, and then they start to like worry that they're maybe a bit of an imposter. I've had elements of that, but I've never felt that way about myself because I'm very like secure with myself. So say for example, I know that I can do many moves in jiu-jitsu, but I don't know the names for them. And a white belt will say, what's the name of that? And I'm like, I don't know. I just know it works. And, you know, it might be called the Scorpion or some shit, but that doesn't matter to me. Another example is using a camera. I know what looks good. I know what settings I need to press on a camera in order to get the outcome that I want. But if you asked me for a technical sort of like definition of, you know, aperture and, you know, this and that, I have no fucking clue, man. So it's just like, I've lived my life like that. I can always sort of get the end result, and I can see the end result, and I understand the concepts involved, and I know how things work. I just leave all the other stuff that I don't think matters to the side, that everyone else think matters, because it doesn't. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, if you can use a camera and you know, make something look amazing that everyone else enjoys and likes, then that's all cool. That matters. You're not getting tested every day. Exactly. I don't know how you feel about that, but well, that's what I always tell people, like, don't focus on the 1%. Focus on the 99%. And again, that's like, you know, you go back to that Olympic swimmer, like, he's not focusing on
some mental reaction where he's pressing the wall to get his reaction times up. You know, like you might see Conor McGregor like ding, 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 or like the fucking jab thing where they're hitting it's like there's those 1% reactions where it's like you're trying to shave a fucking bee's dick off your reaction time out of the gate. But what's that going to do for you if you don't know how to fucking swim? So it's like, but the touching the wall thing's like sexy. And you've got fucking goggles on or, you know, whatever. And you're like, ding, 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 ding. Oh yeah, I'm getting better. It's like, all right, that's a 1% deal. But if you did you swim 6Ks? Because that's what everyone else is doing that's a world champ. So it's like, to me, I don't know, like, I just think that you really need to identify, like, what's the meat and potatoes of the thing you're trying to achieve. And then what's the salt and pepper. And you just can't live off salt and pepper.
Nah. And people get caught up in the salt and pepper.
Fuck yeah.
Like
lust in the sauce.
Dude, 100%. Like if you're a videographer, you know, being a videographer right now is like a hot thing to do, right? And it's just like people get real caught up in like the forums and like, oh, you need to know this, and you don't know this. That makes you sort of not as good of a videographer. But it's just like, well, that shit doesn't matter. And it's just like when I started my agency, if I was worried about all of the opinions of, you know, everyone saying that this is how it needs to be done and this is what you need to know, then I wouldn't be here today. It's just like, just do you, man, and just sort of like do as well as you can and learn along the way. You're not gonna know everything at the end point right now.
Oh man,
you gotta work your way to that.
Still fucking Google.
Dude, all the time.
Every day. Like, me and Mick are always on that Google program. But like, it's interesting though. Like, I wholeheartedly believe in what you're saying, and there's like a huge part of me where that's been my thing. Like, I never went to film school. Never learned anything about audio. Nothing. I've never had any education on this at all. And like, my work is published in the Red Digital Handbook. The fucking most badass camera in the world, and like all my work's through their handbook that still goes out to this day. And it's like, and again, I never went to that. But there was always a part of me where when I get obsessed with something, I know everything about it. So like, it's weird so like, I can tell you every menu on every camera I own. Like, that's why I'm sort of been into suits a bit. Because I can kind of relate to that character, to where it's like, you know, and I'm the same. Like, if I watch a jiu-jitsu DVD, or like, I can just do it. I go and I remember. It's like I have like a photographic memory in a sense. Like, I can't look at a sheet of paper and then read it back. But if I watch something or if I see something, like, I know what to do. So there's always been that part of me as well. But again, like, that would never replace like the film thing. Like, I bought the camera and I started making videos, and then I just got obsessed and learned everything. But I think there is where like that, trying to learn every setting, trying to learn it, there's a comfort zone there. And I think people do it because what they want to do is they go, when I know this, I'll be ready to do this. And I think that it's a little safety net. And then you can be a forum warrior, and you can be that guy. Like, you know, how many dudes do you know that know like every fucking submission in jiu-jitsu but have never even done it? You know? Like, how many times can you go to a bar and be like, no, he's got to scoot his hips out to get an omoplata. And I'm like, oh, do you train? Oh, no. So it's like, but that's the same guy that's probably saying like, I'm just going to study until I know, and then I'll do it. But like, for me, I didn't know fucking anything. I just went to the gym and did it because my friend's kid got to world number 1 in jiu-jitsu, and I was like, that's fucking sick. I'm going to go do that. And then I went and watched him in a comp. And it's like, there was no thing where like, now though, I could fucking read off every choke, every part. I know way more than my pay grade of like my ability. That's that part of my brain. But I never let that stop me from the practical. You know, because it really, it's theory and it's practical. And it's like, if you're going to live in this little world where, you know, and I know people like that with cameras and stuff, and it's like, well, they don't shoot. It's like, you're an armchair expert. There is, you need to be the guy that will do the practical. Because you can be the guy that does the practical and be a world champion, or you can be a super successful business person. You can be, you know, you can be a millionaire that's never filled out a BAS statement in your life. Because at the end of the day, if you're good enough at what you do, you can fucking pay an accountant to do that for you.
For sure.
So it's like, there should be a balance between that. And dude, when I was in the States, I used to say, like, remember we took a drone job with, we shot this huge commercial. I don't want to say the company because if they ever hear it, they'll be like, this motherfucker. But we took like this massive commercial, dude, like huge. And they were like, oh, have you got like a drone? And we were like, yeah, fuck yeah. We've been doing drones forever. We didn't have a drone. Yeah. So we custom built this heli. And it's like one of those before like Movi and before Free Fly, we built like this huge fucking deal. It was like the scariest thing ever, man. We had to go AWOL on us once, flew into the side of our house and like could have killed someone. But like we just said, yep, we'll do it. And we took that on, we did it, and then but in the process became like experts. Yep. So it was like but I didn't let that opportunity slip. Yep. Because like, oh, I don't know, like, oh, I don't know this or that. It's like, no, fuck, we'll figure it out. Yeah. So it's like that, you know, I think the people that win are the ones that will do the practical. Yep. And then the theory will come along. Yeah. You know, because it's like you would have known, like, you start filming, you run into a problem, you type in, how do I get image stabilization or warp stabilizer won't work. Yeah. For sure. Like, we're the most blessed fucking generation. I 100% ever. Agree. Like, every single thing is out there. Yep. You know, you can type any question into Google and you're going to get a response, or you're going to find a forum, or you're going to get on Reddit, or you're going to... And like, I've said it before about jiu-jitsu, man. Like, it's the craziest time ever to start, like, jiu-jitsu. Everything is there. Yeah. You can watch every high-level match. You can buy every one of John Danaher's DVDs, or Craig Jones or Lachlan Giles, and, like, you can... If you put that into effort and you've got mats at your house and you've got someone to practice on, you could become a technical wizard in whatever time you want. Yep. And like, dude, talk about that with not just jiu-jitsu, but like fucking anything. 100%. You want to rebuild motorcycles, you want to build cars, you want to anything. Yeah. But it just takes like you actually doing it. Definitely. And you talked about two things, man. You talked about like, first of all, people sort of saying they're in the comfort zone and they're like, well, I won't take this action until this happens. Yep. So they're waiting for the perfect time. I see that so much, dude. Number one. And then the second thing that you were talking about, which I think is really powerful, is talking about when someone is a technician, but they become comfortable in that zone and they don't maintain their curiosity or continued learning. And something that I'm super big on is maintaining that white belt mentality, man. Dude, for sure. In everything. Yeah. You have to. It's just like, as long as you want to succeed in what you're doing, you have to maintain that white belt mentality. And so many people get comfortable. And that is the reason why we were so easily, as an agency, we were so easily able to surpass so many videography agencies and freelancers out there to get work. And we were the least experienced because we were just surrounded by people who were too comfortable in their space. Yeah. And we just overpassed them. Yeah. And man, there's guys out there who are probably jaded and probably hate the name Hype Group or athletic agencies because they've been doing film for 20 years. Yeah. And they couldn't get the jobs that we got. And it's just like, it happens all the time, bro. Dude, for sure. All the time. But like the first one, it's just like, there's never a perfect time. Like, how many times do you have to hear that? Oh, like, how many times do you have to hear that statement before you take action? It's just like, it's take the action right now. Yeah. Like, literally right now, listening to this podcast, get off the podcast, but leave a review and subscribe and all that jazz. And go and fucking start writing that business plan, or, you know, go and do whatever you need to do to take that next step, that actual action to achieve your goals. Because that's one of the biggest things too, man, that I've been talking about this a lot lately as well with my family, my partner and business partners and stuff, is people being so busy in their mind, but no output coming out. Yeah. People, I feel like that's one of the main things I see. Do you know how easy it is to be successful? It's just a lot of output, more output than most people are doing. And more people are busy in their head, but aren't actually producing any results. Dude, fuck, man, I so believe in that. Like, I remember when I was doing like the film stuff, I was like, fuck, I'm so busy, man. Like, that was my line. As soon as anyone said anything to me, I'd be like, oh yeah, no, I'm fucking so busy. Yeah. I used to say it all the time. Now I'm just like, you don't know shit. Yeah. Like, you weren't busy, you were cruising, bro. Dude, do you like, one thing that just amazed me in the last couple of years is how much you can stretch your threshold of your
sort of efficiencies.
Dude, that's the thing. Like once I started like really looking at your stuff every day, I was like, this motherfucker is up at 5. That's why I was like, I'll come train with you. And I was like, 5 a.m. Fuck. But it's like that's what you got to do. Like when we moved here, I started getting up at 5 a.m. every day, and then I broke my ribs, and then it just sort of all went to shit. And then like I just haven't been able to pick it up again.
Yeah.
But it's like when you get into that routine of like when I was waking up at 5 every day, I was getting so much shit done. Like it was insane. And then I that's why I was like, man, I really want to go train and do that 5 a.m. class because like, you know, I got up at 5 these last few days because I've been dog sitting.
Yep.
And that's what it takes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, I'm getting so much done by 9 o'clock. I'm just like, I got a fair bit of time now, you know?
Yeah.
And then it's like, you could do that extra thing. Yep. You could do that, you know, like if you're an average Joe and you got to go to work at 9 or 8:30 or whatever, if you got up at 5 and spent 2 hours like learning how to do like Facebook ads or drop shipping or, you know, you're not going to get rich.
Yep.
By doing that unless you're in like the top 1% of that. But like you could make a good little side income drop shipping or, you know, just reselling other shit off AliExpress or fucking whatever. And it's like, but you're not gonna like the one big bit of advice that I give to people, and the one thing I hear people say is like, but I just don't know what I want to do, man. And I was like, all right, well, you know how you figure out what you want to do? You do a bunch of shit you don't want to do. There's so much. I've worked for fucking magazines. I've worked for bike shops. I've had sticker companies. I've fucking done t-shirt. Like I've done so much shit, and everyone looked at me like I was a fucking idiot and like, oh, you never finishes any. And I'm like, it's not that I don't want to finish. I just realized I don't like that.
Yep.
I don't like that, and I'm not gonna fucking settle.
Yep.
Until I have something that is like fulfilling and I want to do. And like I'm now here and I'm doing this and I fucking love this. Like I really enjoy everything that goes on with this. Even the bad stuff that comes up. Like I've had to work through insecurities. I've had to push through really fucking bad YouTube comments and bad reviews and people messaging me with like bull and I'm like, I don't fucking want this in my life. But then you have to look at it, you take it on. So it's like, but this come from like, name it, man. Like there was so much shit I did before this that got me to this point, and it's all valuable. And the thing that I think people have in their heads is that they put so much pressure on themselves to have like the first thing that they decide, like let's say they quit their job and then they're like, this is the thing I'm going to do. And it's like, they put so much pressure on it that this is the idea that they've got to do forever. If I'm going to quit my job, this has to be the thing. This has to be the one. It fucking doesn't mean shit, dude.
Yep.
Do it for 6 months, make some cash, fucking check out. I've got that many. If you go on my fucking like business name or whatever, like my
LinkedIn or something like that.
Oh, what like your ABN or whatever.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. I've registered so much shit.
Yep.
And it's like, I don't look at that. And I never looked at that. And maybe I'm lucky that I didn't give a fuck.
Yep.
I never looked at any of that as like, oh, I failed. I'm just going to get a job. Like, I just go, nah, next thing, next idea. As long as I'm not fucking somebody over by like pulling out and like dicing on it, which has always been my own shit.
Yep.
It's like, just keep building. And now, you know what? Every single fucking thing that I've ever done, any business that failed, or isn't around today, I use for right now. And it's like, that's the thing that people need to get. And it's like, if you don't know what you want to do, or you've got this pressure, like the thing is, the business that you start is not going to be the business that you do. Like there's not that many people. And again, it's like you said with reverse engineering, it's like you started combat, but before that could happen, you knew you had to have something else. And it's just like, people are so crippled by, I think it's like maybe fear of judgment, insecurities, fear that they might, you know, just because they might destroy their big idea and it'll ruin this thing that because you can fall in love with ideas and you can live in this space of like wanderlust and think about this new company that you're going to start, this clothing brand, and then you spend what you said, busy in your mind, you extrapolate this idea out to be this most sexy thing in your mind. But then when it comes to take action, the action starts with like a blank sheet of paper and you're writing out some fucking notes. And that seems so insignificant and small and unsexy to this idea that you're now married to, and that you've extrapolated out over fucking months or years of like this Ferrari that you've now got. Like, I've done that shit.
So have I.
Like, I've literally sat down and manifested these. I've looked into storerooms in my headquarters of my film business that had a Cineflex, had Reds. This is where I'm going to keep my media. This is the kind of computer I'm going to be. Fucking bullshit. Just bullshit. And I don't have any of it. Yeah. You know, and it's like, but the thing that starts, like the action, the first thing that you do is so far from that. Yep. And it's so unsexy. And it's writing down a fucking list. Mm-hmm. And then the first list is go to .gov, whatever, register an ABN. Mm-hmm. Well, that's fucking boring. There's no Reds on a shelf, and there's no PC there, and there's no Cineflex, and, you know. So it's like, I think that there's that fact of like these people build up these ideas, and then they get so far out of control in their mind that actually doing them and putting pen to paper or taking that first trip to register a, you know, business name or open a bank account, it just seems so beneath where they want to be. And it's like you just get these ideas of grandeur, and it's like then you get brought back down to earth, and you're like, fuck, this is too big.
100%, man. Fuck, it's so true. I'm seeing it all the time, and it's just like, man, everyone just has this grand vision of you know, what's going to happen, but they just haven't. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know the steps involved, and you haven't sort of like respected or appreciate what actually goes into doing it. Even creating something small, man, is hard. It's really hard. And it's just like I've seen people who are just like who refuse to do the smallest things, like the most basic things. Like, bro, I still clean the toilets in Apex Gym, and I fucking love it. I'm like, yep, I'm gonna fucking clean these toilets in this gym. This is my gym. You know, I'm still gonna do these tasks, and I always will. I'll clean the mats because I want to show people that this is what it takes. And so, like, you know, when we're talking about Instagram and stuff, sometimes I get like, I don't want to say words because people like think of words so literally. Sometimes I get like jaded because I'm just like, I want to show people how fucking hard I work, man. Yeah. Like, I want to show it. And then sometimes I think, oh man, am I being
why
like,
do you give a fuck?
Yeah, or because people question it, and then people start to think that they deserve the same thing, or they think
why
that
do you give a fuck?
Maybe I shouldn't, and that's a great thing.
Yeah,
but where it's in our nature, and the honest answer is I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
But I also think it's an important lesson, because I think that a lot of people out there at the moment, online coaches or whatever, Instagram shows a fake life. So maybe it's in my head that I want to be a true voice into what it actually is. I want to be authentic and real. But I don't post much, man, to be honest. To be honest, like, there's even times where, like, I'm in the office at midnight and I want to pull out my phone, and I might even post something and I'll say, like, in the office or some shit. Yeah. And I'm like, what's the actual point of this? Yeah. This is just an ego move now, and I'll delete it.
Yeah.
But if I think that it's something that, you know, is a message that should get out there and people should see, then I might post it, you know. But like, this world is funny, man. Yeah. This world is fucking backwards, that's for sure. It's backwards right now, dude. Like, yeah, people don't get it. There's a lot of people around me at the moment, younger dudes and girls, who are just like wanting to start things and do things, and they're talking about the Ferraris and stuff like that. And I have to sit there and say, that's great, man. Like, that's awesome. So tell me about, you know, someone starts a clothing company, for example, and we know how important brand is in this day and age, and what the message is behind, like, you know, the story behind this. Like, you know what's cool about the Gypsy Tales? Or your fucking story behind it, and everything that you've gone through. That creates so much more appeal than a dude that starts
fake it. You know,
you can't fake that shit. Yeah, and so it's
I think of Valley like that. Like what Crawley does with Valley.
Yep.
To me is like. And like we were talking about it, we had lunch a couple of days ago, and I was talking about it, and I was just like, man, it's just your brand story is so fucking real. Like, he didn't sit there and like manufacture a story or a thing. It's just like, he just doesn't give a fuck. He just does what he does, and like it resonates. Yep. And that is what resonates with people. Like, it's funny, man. Like, this is to go off topic, so sorry. I'm
that's sweet.
off here,
yeah.
There's like, I've been thinking more. I wonder if you've ever thought about this, because I love this talk. Like, not everyone wants to spar back and forth on this kind of stuff, but I've been thinking more and more about like frequencies lately and energy as a frequency. And it sounds like super fucking kooky, but there's been times where I feel like, and not to sound like a fucking knob, but there's been times in my life where I just feel like I'm on a fucking my own frequency, and people look at you, people listen to you, people want to be around you, they gravitate towards you. There's like an energy that you put out, and I think it's sort of what you were talking about before, you know? It's like you rise, not above is like, but you are different. So there's like all of these energy that you're sort of feeling come through you, or your consciousness, or whatever it is. And it's like when there's a frequency that doesn't like fit the normal mold, that's above or below or a little bit off to the side, and it stands out and you can see it and feel it, then it's like, that's what I think everyone should strive to have. And like, you look at a guy, like I always use Chris Hemsworth as an example.
Yep.
You know, that there's so much more to him than just like the look or whatever, but he is on his own frequency. Yep. There is one Chris Hemsworth. There's dudes that out there that would be as good looking as him, as built as him, and that they're fucking not him, and they never will be him. They're not on this unique frequency. They might be like a little bit out of like the norm, but they're not him or The Rock. Mm-hmm. How many big Jack Samoan dudes are there? There's one fucking Rock. Mm-hmm. And it's like, these people, they find a way, and I think that people like to put like a physical attribute or a talent, or
that's what we see.
That's like the easiest thing to like categorize it. But it's like, you really look at it, it's like that you meet that person, and like, you know, I met Lance Armstrong a couple of years ago.
Yep.
And there was just this like vibe about him, and it's like, he's, you know, obviously he's done what he's done, but there's like an energy that he brought, and when he spoke, and I wonder how much of that is like, you know, what he's done and how famous he is or whatever. But it's like, I just think besides all that, or as a completely separate of that, like that dude would be that guy. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's like, I always kind of check myself, like, what frequency am I operating on? And there'll be time, especially lately, like I've had heaps of just like self-doubt with, you know, like the podcast, and, you know, I'm building all this stuff. Every day I go in the studio, it looks the fucking same, but I feel like I'm working hard. And it's like, you know, the money in and out, and it's like, fuck. Like, and it's like that brings your frequency down. Mm-hmm. And then, but then there's times where it's like, you're just firing, and you're everything's easy, training's easy, surfing's easy, relationships are easy, you know, and it just feels like you're on that different frequency. And it's like, I think that, I don't know, it's like you almost need to like strive to operate independently of everybody else, have your own frequency that everybody can hear above everybody else. Because I think that when you're, you know, like in a negative headspace, and you're doubting yourself, and you're worried about what other people think, and you know, you care about certain people's judgment, you just, that has a frequency. Mm-hmm. And there'll be like millions and millions of people that operate in like this band. Mm-hmm. And then the people that are killing it and successful, they're operating on a different frequency, free of self-doubt, free of insecurities, free of, you know, so many different things that lets them sort of rise above. And then all of a sudden people hear that voice, people will, you know, people gravitate towards that, because there is something different. There is that different energy you can feel about it.
Really fucking cool analogy, man. Really fucking cool. And I think that if we had an answer to that and we could bottle it up and sell it, everyone would be buying it. You know, it's where does that frequency come from? I completely agree. It's really cool we're having this chat, because it makes me feel a little bit more comfortable to talk about myself, which is not something I'm very comfortable
I'm the same.
doing.
I struggle with it a bit, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm on a different frequency. Yeah, I definitely do, man. I think I'm on a different frequency, and I think that when you separate from the main frequency and you create your own frequency, it's really hard to connect back into the frequencies that are there. And I think you're always in search for people that are on a similar frequency. If you can connect with them, holy shit, magic can happen, bro. And it's like I think it goes back to that saying, man, that we all hear. It's just like you are the 5 people that you surround you know, the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. And holy shit, man, the amount of truth in that is insane. Like, the people and the environment that you surround yourself in has a huge impact on your, you know, the way that you're thinking and problem solving and the frequency you're at and the neuroplasticity and, you know, all the things that we've been talking about has huge impact in it. So it's like a lot of the times, like when people are not in a great place, that's often something that I'll say, like, what kind of environment are you in, man? Like, what are you doing? I was talking to one of my mates the other day, and he was just like, man, what's your mission? What's your values? He was just trying to just like
extract the secret sauce.
Extract this shit out. And I'm just like, he's just like, I'm like, where are you at now, man? I haven't seen you in a couple of years. And he's just like, oh, I'm living with some people. They're jobless. I'm jobless. You know, I'm just sitting there going, bro, the first thing you got to get out of is that situation and that environment. Like, you're not hanging around the people that you need to be hanging around to get to where you want to get to. Like, maybe these people are bringing you down, and it's just like you don't even realize it. And man, unfortunately, over time, like, I've shed a lot of people who were my best friends and things like that, but that just didn't marry up with the direction that I wanted in life, and family members and stuff like that. And that's really hard for people, and they feel like it's almost impossible. But it's possible. And man, if your body's just wanting you to get to that next frequency, you just gotta flow with it. I love the analogy of it being a frequency. I say energy, but making it a frequency sort of puts it in that sort of like
visual.
Man.
Like you can, because like you think about when you do like, you know, when you look at like color grading, you see like histograms and stuff like that. Like, I think about that stuff where it's like there's that blob in the middle, and then it's like you can see those different, you know, bits of light that are off that main sort of that center, where it's like it gets so black or thick in that it just becomes a solid color. And that's what I think about people that are stuck in these negative mindsets, or they're just, you know, like you can walk past people in the street and someone will catch your eye, and then 50 other people don't. How many times, like, you can see all these people and like no one stands out. But then you can see one person, you remember them forever. For sure. And there's nothing there other than, and it can't just be visual, because you know, I just don't think that someone's look has such it's a profound effect. Like, I think that's quite a manufactured thing in society. Like, I'm trying to think of like David Duchovny. Like, you know,
of course I know the name, bro. But
can you Google him up? I need to put a face. So like
Mr. X-Files.
Well, like California.
Gotcha.
Gotcha. But like, he's not. I wouldn't say like look at him. Like, he's not a fucking super good looking dude, right? That you would say, but like I guarantee that you saw that dude walking down the street, like you'd know who, like, not who he was, but you'd get a feeling of him. And it's like, if you can get to the level where you're on like X-Files and you're on Californication and you're an actor or whatever, and it's like, and especially like you meet those people, and I think like maybe that's one of the reasons that I've got this thing is like when you meet a lot of people that are on that higher end of the spectrum or success, or, you know, like actors, actresses, musicians, whatever, they all have that thing in common where it's like, it just doesn't matter what they look like. Some people are there because they're hot as fuck, obviously, but it's like, that's just not what it is. There's something else. They stand out.
Bro, I think it's a fucking curse to have good looks, like ridiculously good looks. I fucking do. I believe that 100%. I think that so many people get through the first sort of, you know, really
formative years.
Yes, correct. They go through school and they're they're popular in school because of the way they look, and they're good at sports and all these sorts of things. But as soon as you get into the real world and, you know, all that shit actually doesn't matter, you're pretty fucked. Because you've gotten through and you've been handed everything because of your good looks, and you've been given job opportunities, and you've been accepted for roles in XYZ and all sorts of stuff because of your looks and that sort of thing. But it only goes so far. Lots of people sort of like hold on to that, and they fall comfortable, or they become comfortable with that as becoming the result of their life. and then they just get hit in the face with life and
reality.
Yeah, man, 100%. I agree.
Well, like my dad used to always say like, I fucking hated school, and he'd be like, man, you won't have any friends. He's like, you'd be lucky if you got like 1 or 2 friends from school. And he's like, all the popular kids, the girls you want to fuck, all like you watch in 10 years where they'll be.
Yep.
And like I saw like this chick, I was fucking in love with this chick, dude. And she was just like the hottest chick ever. And she just got nothing.
Yeah.
There's not, the looks don't stay around.
For sure.
Fucking everything. You looked at her life when she was like 14, 15. And again, life.
Yeah.
Like we knew what was going on. But like in that frame of mind, in that time, you're looking at that person like, oh, her life, she's got everything.
Yeah.
Right? But it's like, it really just doesn't matter, eh? Especially, and they are the formative years. Like when you're 14, 15, 16, 17, like the habits that you form, the people you surround yourself with, like that shit that really carries over. And it's like your life is such a cumulative effect. Like you can't, like you said about your mum, you can't say like, well, I went through that when I was 20.
Yep.
So it's like that ends. That doesn't end, man.
Yep.
Like everything in your life is this accumulation of experiences and things that happen to you just over and over. And it's like, if you don't have control over those things, or if you can't in some way influence those things to the direction you want, like you're fucked. It's going to keep happening. You're going to keep getting pushed in those directions. Like you can never underestimate the importance of like every moment.
Yep.
And I think that's definitely been something that I've tried to like take for granted less. Just little things, like the little opportunities you get, little days where it's like, I didn't achieve much today.
Yep.
Well, you fucked up.
Yeah.
You just wasted some time that you are going to wish that you had back at some point, or you think it doesn't matter, but it is going to matter.
Yep.
Everything does matter.
100%, man. And like I said before, it's just like if you look at someone who's successful, everyone's looking for a blueprint. Everyone's looking for the cheat sheet, the quick facts, the fucking, the all the answers. But the more I look into it and the more I get closer to people like yourself who are like super successful, you've been around those people, right? There's nothing, like we were saying, there's nothing special about their talents or ability. It's their mind.
Yeah.
And it's the ability that they've had to, like you said, use all of their experiences and also use other people's experiences and combine that to their, current knowledge and the current way that they think and stuff like that, and apply that to life. And, man, that's my answer at the moment with everything. It's just like, I'm just constantly trying to like build my mindset and like build my knowledge and experience with things. And like you said, like, really think about each experience that I'm having and what effect it's going to have on my life and all those sorts of things. But then like we were saying about, the 5 a.m. and all that sort of stuff, and the people who come to the 5 a.m. class,
they're all killing it, I bet.
And they're killing it. Yeah. And it's just like, they come to the 5 a.m. class because there's, So it's just like, you're surrounding yourself with those people and you're having those chats, and then you doing this and doing that. And it's just like,
you're so right, dude. I had my professor Kwai. I had a rough night the other night. I think I roll with, it was like four brown belts, a purple belt who's the Australian champ, and a black belt. Yep. And I just got fucked all night, like fucked. And then by the end of it, like my last roll was Kai, and he just smashed me. Like it sucked.
Yeah.
Like, and I was just so deflated by like how I had one really good roll that I was like pumped on, but again, like it was just I was making lemonade, you know, and then I was just like, I was laying on the mat, and then Kai was sort of laughing at me, and I just said, "Fuck, man, tonight was hard," and then he goes, "Lucky you didn't come here for it to be easy."
Yep.
And I was just like, it was just such a simple thing, but like it really stuck in my head of like, no, you're fucking right, dude. I don't come here for this shit to be easy.
Yep.
I come here and I suffer every fucking time I walk through the doors.
Yep.
And there's something like very positive and endearing, or like it's humbling.
Yep.
And it's like every day you're like, I'm going here knowing I'm going to get fucking towed every time I go. But like there's like power in it. Then like you can endure that shit.
Man, there's no better analogy to life and growth than martial arts. There's a school in Japan that I've trained out a lot called AACC, and they have their big slogan is wrestling is hard, life is easy. And it's Abayani Combat Club. And
yeah, there it is.
And man, when I saw that sort of when I saw that slogan, wrestling is hard, life is easy, I was like,
is it a wrestling gym or is it a jiu-jitsu gym?
Big wrestling focus. They have a huge kids program for wrestling, but they're MMA. They do striking, they do karate, they do all sorts of things. Huge gym. And dude, seriously, man, how good is it going into a class, getting, you know, first of all, you go into a class and there might be a lawyer there and a doctor and there might be a janitor in there and there might be a dude that doesn't have a job. First of all, it's all, you know, that's
dude,
the first
I say
best
this
part
all
of
the
it.
time. Yeah, it's fucking, you're so right.
So good. And then it's just like, there's always someone better than you on the mat. And it's just like, you're going to get choked or, you know, submitted to the point where you tap in submission like to someone else. You give up. And it's like so empowering because it's just like, not only are you like trusting to put your life in someone else's hand, but it's just like, you know, every single night on the mat, you're dealing with hardship, you're dealing with the worst possible problem, which is that you give up.
Yeah.
And then you're cool with it. And then you keep going and you have another roll. And then what happens is you finish the roll, you shake hands, you walk out and you have a big smile on your face because you've just endured all that hardship on the mat. I 100% believe that going into a jiu-jitsu school or a wrestling school or a kickboxing school or whatever it is, just going and doing a martial art has a profound beneficial impact on your life as a human being. And I feel like everyone should do it. And that's why I'm such a big advocate for it. Even as far as saying like, man, I don't have a personal brand, right? But I'm starting to think more and more like that it might be important or something that I'm excited to pursue.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to think like, what's a big part of my life? Like business, yeah, sure, but it's just like martial arts is a big part of my life. And I think like if there was anything that I'd want to portray with a personal brand from me, it's how powerful martial arts is to helping you succeed in every other aspect in your life, especially business.
Yeah.
Because it's like you don't know someone who doesn't walk out of say a BJJ gym, for example, that hasn't become a better person after, you know, a period of time.
Yeah.
And it's just like, man, how powerful that. A funny fact, we had the first student ever came into the gym and signed up who was a comedian and came and did jiu-jitsu because he listened to a Joe Rogan podcast. How cool is that?
That's crazy. Yeah.
That's fucking awesome. I was like, yes, this is so cool. Like, but man, you're seeing it now as well with like celebrities and big business people who are getting into jiu-jitsu. It's a thing, man.
Yeah.
It's a fucking thing. It's just like,
it's definitely been a thing that over the last like 15, 16 months, or however long it's been, like I wasn't searching for something like, you know, you hear people be like, oh, jiu-jitsu saved my life and blah, 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 blah. Like, and I can see how that would happen.
Yep.
I wasn't that guy.
Yep.
I wasn't there searching for something, but like, fuck man, it's given me a lot already.
Yep. And
it's just, it's funny too, how like the problems in the gym that come up, and like I'm with Fabio, very hard, old Brazilian mentality, way of thinking, the respect, the humility. Like there's, it just doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't. The fucking rules are the rules, and that is how it gets done. And if you don't like it, you can fucking leave.
Yep.
You know, and that to me is the antichrist of how I've lived my life.
Yeah.
Like I hated school. Fucking see ya.
Yeah.
I didn't like working with people. See ya. Like I'm gonna work for myself. Like whenever those kinds of like rigid forced guidelines have been forced on me, I'm fucking out.
Yep.
I do my own thing, and it's what's got me to here. And for better or worse, that's how I've lived.
Yep.
And I was like really cool with that, and until in jiu-jitsu, like some problems started coming up with the gym, and I got called out by my professor, and he said, hey, this is some shit you're doing that's not cool here. And my immediate reaction was like, cool, I'll fucking jump on my bike and I'll go somewhere else where I can do shit the way I want to do it.
Yeah.
And but then there was that thing, it's like, I really don't want to leave this thing. I don't want to leave here.
Yeah.
There's something about this. There's something, and not just jiu-jitsu in itself. I could go do jiu-jitsu anywhere.
Yeah.
But it's like, you to stick in that environment. And it's been humbling because I've always got on my bike and done it my own way, and it's worked.
Yep.
I've figured it out. But it's funny that through sticking it out and through forcing myself to change in this particular environment, I'm now starting to apply the positive lessons into places in my other life. And I wasn't searching for anything. Like I said, I just wanted to do it.
Yep.
But it's like, now you see these lessons where it's like, all right, you do need to be more humble. You do need to have respect of certain things, and that maybe there just is a way things should get done. And, you know, and it's like, it's been cool that then I'm like, oh, maybe I should need to do this in life in general. And then especially doing the podcast, man, because like the whole I just don't want to operate out of ego, and I don't want to talk on here like I have an ego, and I don't want to come across as a person that thinks I'm better than I am. I think I'm worse than people think I am, if that makes sense. You know, like I don't rate myself.
That's bad too.
In a way, like that's definitely some stuff that like me and Mick talk about all the time. Like that's some stuff that I've got to figure out, like where I came from, like the small town I grew up in. Like you got shitted on if you thought, you know, we used to call them deadly bugger syndrome. Yeah. And as soon as you got any success or notoriety, and as soon as you were proud of something that you'd achieved, that was taken as, oh, you fucking deadly bugger, eh?
Yeah, wow.
And you just got cut down. Wow. And it was, when you were talking about your friend that was like around shit people, a lot of times, man, when you're around people and they're doing that to you, they fucking want you to stay down because it gives them a license to stay down too. 100%. And it's like, so I deal with that now. And like, you know, when I meet people at like an airport or something, I don't know how to fucking act, because I'm like, I don't want to come across like I think I'm better than I am. You know, like there's a bit of a complex that goes on there with that.
There always is, and we all have our insecurities. Oh yeah. And we all are just working through them over time. But it's awesome, and it's good that you're vulnerable and about talking about that. And I think that's the first step to overcoming that as a negative thing. And obviously, I don't think it's having a negative impact on what you're doing. No, I don't. But you can't let it. Yeah.
And I mean, the thing is though, and like this is what I was saying before about like, why do you give a fuck? Yeah. So like, there was like a YouTube comment. I try not to read them like at all. Sometimes it's fucking hard. Like you look at stats or whatever, you can't avoid it. Of course. But there was like a comment where someone's like, you should have said this, you should have asked that. And then there was one iTunes review where a guy's like, just turns everything into a jiu-jitsu analogy.
Oh, really?
And I'm like, that's what I do every day. Yeah. I fucking do that every day. I spend 8 hours a week in the gym. Yeah. So it's like, that's sort of where my head's at right now. Yeah. And it's like, I learned very quickly, and there's a style of this podcast and there's whatever, but it's like, I'm doing this because this is the conversation I want to have. Yeah. Or this is the conversation that happens. And it's like, I don't care now. Like, I'm putting this out, and it's like a piece of me, it's a piece of you. Yeah. You put it out to the world, and I want people to just respect it. It's like, I'm not doing this for you. Yeah. Like, you get to listen to this. I'm not doing it for you to listen to. Yep. You just get to listen to it. And it's like, that sort of triggered my way of thinking when you said, like, I want people to see it. Like, I almost don't give I don't want people to see anything. Yep. I just want to do this. And because it helps me, I think it helps other people. And it's like this, you know, this shared experience. And, you know, like I say to people all the time, like, we spend 3 hours in here, like, we'll get to be good friends. This like probably like a 3-year fucking friend catch up window. Yeah. You know what I mean? To where it's like, we've just covered a lot of ground. Yeah. So it's like, it's a selfish thing. And then I'm going to take a bit of a hit on my own insecurities to put it out. Yep. Because I don't want people to think that I think I'm this fucking messiah that's got all the answers. I don't at all. So it's like, you know, you've got to, again, like, it's that reason that you're doing it. Yeah. And for me, it's like, it's not, this is like for us, and then you put it out and then that's it. Like, I almost, now I'm like really trying to reconcile the fact that, like, I just don't care. I don't care if people think it's good. I don't think it, if it gets to the point where it's like a negative thing and people are fucking, it's more bad than good, then you just shut it down. Yeah, for sure. Like, well, fuck, what are you doing it for? Yeah, definitely. But at the end of the day, it's like, I think it's not healthy to worry about or do something for somebody else's reaction.
Yeah, 100% not. And I think like if people are telling you should do this and should do that, it's just like, man, you're doing what you know, and that's doing a lot of good for people out there. Like the conversations that we're having, man, is going to, do a lot of good for people out there. And some people might be on another level or agree with different things, and it's not going to help them. But I think people get really caught up in trying to please everyone. I was a people pleaser for a long time, and trying to cater for everyone. It's just like, you got to accept. And this is something that we go through because we deal with a lot of people who sell products and they want to sell to everyone. And it's sort of just like, and we deal with a lot of brands, and it's sort of just like, man, some people are just going to really resonate with your brand and you and like your product and want to take it, and some people aren't. And you just got to accept that. And it's like, some people are going to want to listen to your podcast and some people aren't.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like,
cool.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But heaps of people struggle with that. They're just like, I want everyone to like it. And it's just like, well, it's not going to happen, man. Like, it's, you are, cool to some people and you're a fucking dork to some people. You're a arrogant dude to some people, and you're a, like you said, like a messiah to some, like, fuck, who knows, man? Who cares? Like, it's hard, man, because it's not about not caring. It's just that, like, you're just not putting an emotional sort of like response to it.
You just have to trust that it's genuine from your own end.
For sure.
And if you can really honestly, like, again, it's that self-awareness and audit yourself to the point where you're like, okay, I am doing this for the right reasons.
Yeah. And
like the friendships that I've made out of this, and the people I know, and the people that have said that it has been a positive thing.
Yeah.
And, it's like, if it is from a genuine place, then people are going to fucking not like you.
Yeah.
Like you can't please anyone. And it was interesting. Like we filmed some band documentaries in the States.
Yeah.
And we filmed this band that were in this recording process for their second album. And the first album they made was just like the fucking coolest, craziest shit ever. Went into the top 10 Billboard 200, like fucking crazy. And then we filmed them in the studio, filming their recording their second album. And I could see these group of guys figuring out what people wanted from them.
Yeah.
And, we got really close with them in the end.
Yeah.
But, without trying to like intervene, we're like, boys, you made the album you wanted to make and people really liked it. Fucking make another album that you want to make and hope that people really like it.
Yeah.
Like there definitely is a thing that, you enjoy. Like if this podcast got to the point where people were just like, this dude's a fucking tool, like I don't want to listen to him anymore, I'd have to accept that.
Yeah.
And be like, well, and you could change in yourself and go like, am I an egotistical fucking preaching do-goody wanker? And like, do I really want to change that about myself? Mm-hmm. And it's like, you'd have to really work on it. But you'd be missing the mark if you just changed it because of that. Yeah. And it wasn't like this genuine thing, you know? Sure. And I think that brands do that.
Yep.
And I think that musicians do that. I think that, there's so many people that, and the news does it.
Yep.
The news will be like, fuck, we really like, outrage is what sells.
Yep.
Let's fucking cause some outrage.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that's genuine about that.
Yep.
I'm sure in the legal world, there's people that, there's nothing genuine about what they're doing. It's just like following what works.
Yeah, 100%. It's always the quick way. It's always just the quick way. It's just a sort of like, this person says this, let's adjust everything, pivot, and let's try and sell to that person. Now that person's sort of like red hot, let's go that way.
Yeah.
That's not longevity, man. That's not building anything with value and substance over time. There's a lot of brands out there that just pivot and just do whatever suits. CrossFit's hot, they'll jump into CrossFit. This is hot, they'll jump into that. And it's just like, yeah, but man, you've just like completely blown out your whole sort of value base and like what you actually stand for, and like you're not staying true to your thing, to your shit. Yeah. So it's just like, yeah, man, I'm all about just staying true to you and just doing you. And you know what, man, if people say bad things about the podcast, then that's just, up to you to go like, cool, what's my focus for this podcast? It was really to provide value to people and help them on their journey and things like this. And the huge majority of people don't seem to be liking it, and then you might think that's counteractive to my goals. Maybe I should stop or change or something like that. But if it's not, man, then it's just like, they're saying that, whatever. You just keep going because you're sticking to what it means to you, So yeah, man, I people's opinions are so powerful.
It's
to
weird,
some people.
Yeah.
So powerful. If I listen to people's opinions about leaving law, if you listen to people's opinions about leaving school and doing all this sort of stuff, it's like, fuck, man, where would you be?
Yeah.
I would be miserable as all hell.
Yeah.
You know,
I was unhappy doing this. Like I've always prioritized my own happiness, and probably to a detriment at points where I'd probably given up on some stuff for selfish reasons, but it's like, I think now I feel like I have more rounded perspective on it and come from like a better place. But at the end of the day, I'm still chasing the same thing. I think it's just going about it in like a more healthy way.
Yeah.
But like I've said it on here so many times too, like you can't fill up someone else's cup if yours is empty.
Yeah. Oh man,
You know.
that's a whole nother discussion in itself.
But it's so true though. Like I take my time every day to like fill my cup.
Yeah.
And like when I come home from training, or when I come home from surfing, or the podcast that I had a great conversation, or I've helped somebody, or you know, something, it's like you feel good, and then instantly your instant reaction is like, fuck, who's around? Who can I who can I do something? How can I lift somebody else up? Man, and it's like, that's so fucking powerful.
I've never been good at filling my cup, man, and that's something that I've struggled with and needed to adjust. And so, yeah, man, my cup's been empty for a long, long time because I just have that personality where I just really want to help.
Yeah.
I really want to help, and I want to give. And when I was young and I didn't have much money, but my friends had less, I was like, here, man, here's $100. I really want to go party with you because let's have fun and let's do this. And I want to give this to you, and I want to give this to you. And, you know, even to the point where I was telling you before about like, you know, not paying myself any wages for 3 years and having 6 staff and stuff like that. I'm not looking after myself as well. Yeah. Kind of wasn't until, you know, I met up with my business partner, Sel, and he was just like, what the fuck are you doing, man? You got to look after yourself too, and then you can look after other people. And it's just like, people think they're being real heroic by like kind of just like
falling on their sword.
Yeah,
kind of
man,
thing,
100%. But I agree with you wholeheartedly, and my whole sort of mindset about it is shifting, and I'm learning more and more about how to do it, because I've obviously built like a sort of like certain characteristics and a certain, you know, identity around that, and I'm really trying to rewire my shit where I can sort of look after my own energies and frequencies and all that sort of stuff, and fill my cup, because yeah, man, I can help a lot. I can help a lot of people on a fucking pretty empty cup, man. So if I can fill that thing up, you know, to the brim, I can help. I know I can help a lot of people. So that's kind of my mentality at the moment. And it's just adjusting things to make that happen. I have maybe my insecurity and problems is sometimes I'm feeling like I'm being selfish, like you were saying, and like, oh, why should I take this? I should be giving. A story that has stuck with me forever in my life, and the way that I feel like has shaped my life when we were talking about experiences is, I remember vividly when I was really young, man, and I was with my mum, and we needed to go and get milk, and she had $2. That's it. She had $2. She needed to get the milk. I really, really wanted this like a coloring set, crayon set or whatever, and I was obviously nagging her for it or whatever, and she, as much as she was like obviously you know, ill, she was super giving, and she got me my play set, but she didn't get her milk. And for some reason, I don't know what it is, maybe it was like a guilt or something that has I've maintained that sort of like memory. Like, I don't know what it was, but ever since then I've always just felt like, even if I have 2 cents in my pocket, I'd want 5 cents. I want to give it to you. I want to help you. I want to help you because I'm cool with me. I'm cool with nothing, man. And I'm cool with, you know, money in the bank. I'm cool with money not in the bank. Like, I'm just cool with whatever. Yeah. And I think that's a really freaking powerful way to be. And I think, yeah, man, I want to push that out there to more people, just to become comfortable with what they've got and who they are. And, you know, man, you're sharing the same message. So it's, I think that's powerful like state of being to have that. Yeah, dude, for sure. Well, I reckon we've done nearly 3 hours, man. Wow. Are you serious? Yeah. Have you enjoyed the experience? Was it? Dude, I've loved this experience. Yeah, sweet. It's awesome, man. Like, as I said, it was like my first podcast that I was a guest. And man, to come on this podcast is amazing. Fucking Travis Pastrana and Crawley and like Ryan Gambin, all these amazing dudes on it before. So man, I'm stoked, and I hope that people enjoy it. You know, and I hope people got something out of it for whatever it's worth. And yeah, man, it's awesome. That 3 hours flew by.
It's crazy,
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, my honest goal at the end of all of these is like, did you enjoy it?
Yep.
You know, are you better for being here for a few hours? And I think that I genuinely believe that if like you feel like you're better for being here for 3 hours and you had a good experience, then other people will.
Yeah.
And that's sort of like my whole philosophy with it. So
100%.
And I'll get you back on again. We'll do another one in the new studio in 6 months or 12 months.
Looking
or
forward to it, man.
Whenever you got way more shit going on. But yeah, hopefully we touch base on enough of the stuff that you're into. And
yeah, man.
Shout out some of the gym and Hype Group and the combat and everything.
Yeah,
get
cool.
a message out there.
Yeah, man. So marketing agency is Hype Group. If you look on Instagram, it's hypegroup.co. We look after heaps of product-based businesses with all their marketing, which is awesome. So check us out there. Our new sports nutrition brand dedicated for combat athletes is called Combat, CMBT. You can find us on Instagram at CMBT Nutrition. And then... hey, if you're in Burleigh and you want to have a healthy feed, going down to Nutrition Station Burleigh, you'll find some awesome stuff there. And then if you want to train some jiu-jitsu or kickboxing or something, come down to Apex Training Academy. We're in Varsity Lakes, and got some other stuff. But yeah, that's already making me anxious how much shit's going on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. How much shit can you do?
Yeah, we won't go that far.
All right, man. Well, yeah, I really appreciate it. And
Thank
yeah,
you,
we'll do it again, and I'll get this up, and yeah, hopefully people. What's your Instagram too? Shout out.
My Instagram, just my name,
Personal
Miles
brand.
Muecke, MILES MUECKE.
All right, sweet as. We'll do it again.
Thank you, bro.
Appreciate it, dude.